For the 112th year of Nebraska football, the Huskers take the field to another sellout crowd. Down on Tom Osborne Field, here's Todd Harris.
At Nebraska, the IBAC tradition runs deep, but this year at IBAC, they are on unsettled ground. The expected starter was suspended by Coach Frank Zolich. Darren Diedrich, he will have to sit out this game. So that leaves the Cornhuskers with a trio of untested gentlemen. Thunder Collins gets the start. He'll be backed up by two more sophomores, and combined they only have 138 total career yards. So Coach Frank Zolich will watch this position very closely to find out which of these gentlemen is the most productive. But Mike and Tim, I got to think he's going to see the most productive guy, his quarterback, Eric Crouch. He has over 2,300 career yards. It should be interesting. Back to you, Michael.
That's a good option to have in the backfield. Pardon the pun with the word option. Nebraska won the toss, deferred the option to the second half, so TCU is ready to take it. Both Springfield and LaTerrence Dunbar ready to receive. Dunbar, the last 2 years, has led the nation in kickoff returns. Sandro DeAngelis, freshman from Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, will kick it off for the Huskers. The ball blew off the tee as Tim, in the last 2 hours, a pretty good-sized northwesterly wind has developed here.
It's like a fall day. You know, it's been so hot here in Lincoln the entire week, and now this wind blows through, brings this front. Temperature has cooled down. It's a good break-in day for the new I-backs at Nebraska.
DeAngelis steps forward, and welcome to college football 2001. Confusion, Springfield ends up taking it and takes it up the middle to the 26-yard line. That's where Casey Printers and the TCU offense will take over. Printers is a junior. He started as a true freshman. All of his numbers, Tim, improved last year, his sophomore season.
You know, the thing about him, Mike, is he's a tremendous athlete, great arm strength with patience. He's got good feet, but he has to settle down early here, and I think the entire team needs some early success. I think coming in, you really have that feeling that they're going into a tough situation against Nebraska, and so every little bit of success that they get, the more first downs that they can get, obviously, and keep Crouch on the sidelines is a good thing.
We saw head coach Gary Patterson on the sideline. He coached the bowl game last year. This is his first regular season game. Ricky Madison goes nowhere. Chris Kelsey and company stop him on the defensive front for Nebraska. Let's check the Principal Financial Group starting lineups. That TCU line up front, they lost 4 fifth-year seniors. The only one back is Victor Payne up front. As for the people who will handle the ball, you're going to see Matt Schobel at the H-back. He's a sophomore. They want to get involved. Ricky Madison has to replace the great runner, LaDainian Tomlinson. Dunbar is a man they want to get the ball in his hands 10 or 15 times this afternoon.
There he is in motion, number 3.
Second and 11 after a loss of a yard. Printers to the air. Will keep it. Schobel helped with the block, and Printers chased out of bounds a yard short of the first down at the 35. Again by Chris Kelsey. Up on that Nebraska front, Kelsey's one of 4 returning starters with experience, but they didn't start all last year. They need to be healthy and play better this year. Shanley over at the weak side linebacker spot. He may be the best of this bunch, but the middle linebacker spot with Jamie Burrow is one to watch. Back in the secondary, their best player, I think, on defense, Keo Craver. DeJuan Gross at the other corner is good. Dion Booker was going to be a free safety. They moved him to Rover this year. Willie Amos is going to ease into the season at the safety spot for Nebraska. Third and a short yard. They run for it with Madison. And he has the first down. So TCU, with a little power football at Nebraska, moves the chains.
There's that early success we're talking about, Mike. 2 plays, first down. And the more that they can do that, I'm telling you right now that the TCU offense will be their best defense today. The more first downs they can get, shorten the game, melt the clock, keep Crouch on the sidelines. That's the best thing that could happen to the Horned Frogs.
From the Nebraska 37. Dunbar, nowhere. Talk about the speed of the Cornhusker defense. You see some of it right there. Willie Amos up from the free safety spot with Jamie Burrow, the middle linebacker.
They're going to move Dunbar around. We saw him in motion on the first play. They tried to get it to him, but Printers carried. Here, they just put him on a quick out slant. They just want to get the ball to him immediately and let his athletic talents take over. They want him to touch the ball about 15 times at the minimum today. They've got to get the ball in his hands or Printers' hands. We'll keep track of that. There's 1. No yardage. Actually, a loss of 1.
Second and a long 11. Western junior John Muther in the game at fullback. A nice block for the sophomore Ricky Madison. It'll be third and about 6 for TCU.
Surprised
Booker with the stop.
Surprised they didn't throw a flag there for an incidental face mask. As he came through, a hand got caught in the mask. It let go immediately, but I want you just to watch his head as he comes through. Number one, pretty good hole. They overrun the pursuit. He takes it up inside. Now watch this. See the hand grab his face mask there? Should have been a flag. 5 more yards.
Big East officials today. Neutral crew in this preseason game. 3rd and 6, needing to get just shy of the 48 to keep the drive alive. To Shane Hudnall, nothing. Pat Ricketts came off the bench, an extra DB in there, and forces TCU to punt.
The first big play of the game for TCU, 3rd down and long, and the sophomore makes a terrific hit. He's out there by himself. Here comes 28. You break down, you come under control, you put your hat in his number. He did it perfectly.
Joey Basati kicking. He had a broken leg last year. He's back this year. Nice kick. Here's Keo Craver returning to the 29-yard line, so that's where Nebraska will get its hands on the ball for the first time in 2001. 45-yard punt.
Did you see who made that tackle? Terrence Dunbar. He's going to be all over the field today.
Onto the field comes the Nebraska quarterback. The Heisman talk, the title talk, all around Eric Crouch in his 4th year starting. With 187 yards today, he becomes the all-time Nebraska total leader in offense, passing Tommy Frazier. He asked to do a lot, but the I-backs will be tested as well. Good fullback they have in Judd Davies, who goes nowhere on 1st down. Charlie Owens, the weak safety, led the charge for TCU defensively. Check the rest of the Nebraska offense on the Principal Financial Group starting lineups. The left side of the line is back. The right side is brand new. Can that pipeline continue the tradition of 350 yards a game like last year? As for the ball handlers, the best may be Tracy Wistrom, All-America candidate at tight end. Receivers unproven. Thunder Collins, the I-back, is in the crosshairs today. His first carry of the season. Takes it out to the 37-yard line. Judd Davies, the fullback, led the way. Running through TCU's defense, which led the nation in scoring last year. They lost a lot of seniors, though. The only one back up front is Chad McCarty. It's a 4-2-5. Chad Baer was the top tackler last year. The most experience of the guys back. It comes back in the secondary, where Goss, Owens, and Springfield, the corner, are the 3 returning starters.
4-2-5 is unique. It's based on quickness, not size, and it attacks the corners with 5 defensive backs, always a nickel.
Option on 3rd and 3. Crouch keeping, and he has the first down. Taken out at the 48-yard line, but Eric Crouch moves the chains on 3rd down.
The way to stop the option, and TCU should be well aware of this because they run almost the entire thing the same way that Nebraska does, so the defense sees it a lot. But you have to put 6 guys on the side of the option. You have to outnumber them. You can't go 1 for 1. Here he just reads. He gets a block just long enough to hold up the defender, and once number 2 Hilliard's out of the way, Crouch just takes it around the corner. You have to outnumber them. You can't do it individually. You can't do it one-on-one.
Crouch will work out of the shotgun on 1st and 10. That surgically repaired right shoulder not tested as Crouch takes off. First down and much more. To the 19-yard line. 33 yards, and Wilson Thomas threw a terrific block.
So dangerous because of his speed. He also has great vision. He gets good blocking. He sees the pressure coming from the outside, so he takes it up the middle. Now this is smart right here. He gets over near the sideline. Some guys give up on the play. He's still near the sideline. I would have stepped out there. You can't afford to get him hurt. If you get him hurt, their national championship goes out the window. But a great play by Crouch.
Thunder Collins. Another Nebraska first down. Jason Goss may have saved a touchdown, but it's 1st and goal, Big Red.
Mike, what we're seeing is just power football, and nobody plays power football better than Nebraska. I mean, they do it with counters, and they mix in the options, and they'll throw occasionally. But it is Nebraska power football. The offensive line of Nebraska outweighs the defensive line of TCU by 50 pounds a man.
And they're always dangerous down here going to the tight end. Option Collins. Nebraska. Touchdown.
Boy, that's an impressive drive right there, partner. And for TCU, you see it, you know it's coming. Straight ahead, no fair dodging. It's not that complicated. They just beat you physically. And you have to be saying in your head right now, this doesn't bode well for the rest of the afternoon.
No. Sandro DeAngelis is on for the extra point. Josh Brown, their junior kicker, suspended for a game. I'll tell you why later, but DeAngelis adds the extra point. Fourth string last year, gets the start on opening day. Thunder Collins, his first career touchdown, same as it ever was. One drive, one score. Nebraska on top. Thunder Collins, who had a run-in with the law during the summer. 2 misdemeanor assault charges were eventually dropped. He was not suspended, able to start, and in place of Darren Diedrich, who was involved in an off-campus incident this past week. Well, exactly 1 week ago tonight, as a matter of fact, and Frank Solich suspended Diedrich for 1 game, but he sees his replacement Collins put Nebraska on the board, leading 7-0. Short kickoff. Fair catch signal was made and taken by TCU's backup tight end Stanley Moss. Well, TCU down 7-0, takes the field. Tim, we mentioned all the seniors they lost, but here are the key people that are no longer with them.
Well, and you're talking about some serious people, too. I mean, start with LT, LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean, led the nation in rushing. You got Aaron Schobel. He was the defensive player of the year in the conference. And then, of course, you have your head coach go to Alabama, and all of a sudden you're saying, hey, wait a minute, what do we have left? It's a hard-working group, though. And if you look at this, most players selected TCU is 5th in the nation. So you lost not only a lot of players and a coach, but quality players.
Printers, the quarterback, one of the big names back. He throws on first down again to Shane Hudnall. You see Hudnall got up again, but it was down at the 33-yard line. It's a nice pickup of 7 yards. Hudnall's a sophomore out of Lee High School, Tyler, Texas. There are a ton of Texans and young talent on this team, but Tim, the key word there is young.
Yeah, without question, and I think it's imperative now that Casey Printers maintains his composure and keeps everybody together. You know, they got a first down the last time. They moved the ball okay, almost got the play to get the first down on their second drive. Or their second series. He just has to keep everybody together here and be patient.
Dunbar is the man in motion. And an option look, rookie Madison. Bo Schobel couldn't get the block on the corner, but Madison got past the 36. That's another first down for TCU. We talked about staying calm. Casey Printers knows that's something he must focus on not only this season, but especially today.
I'm starting to become more composed as a quarterback, staying more grounded, not getting too excited, because that's a problem for me. I get in the game and I get kind of hyped up, and you know, I just calm down and know that I have to lead this football team.
And Tim, a lot of that work was done in the offseason by Gary Patterson, just letting him know, Casey, just because LaDainian Tomlinson's not here, you don't have to carry the whole load. You tried to carry the ball there and got snowed under, nowhere to go. As Nebraska's Casey Nelson, the senior, made the play.
You know, you make a good point there, Mike, but it's not always that easy. I mean, when you look at everybody that's gone, especially with LT, Casey feels like he's got to carry this team on his shoulders, and that's something that Gary Patterson is trying to work through. This is a guy that completed almost 60% of his passes his first 2 years. Just 13 interception and 326 passes, I think. And he's got now, what, 59 straight or something like that without a pick. So he's a confident guy. He just can't try to do too much, and that's hard to do.
After the loss of 4, 2nd and 14. Gets away from Mark Vedral. Now has nowhere to go. Does have some space and blockers on the near side and throws on the run. Behind the secondary. Bo Schobel. Touchdown.
How about that?
Max Schobel, the senior, comes up with a huge play and a touchdown.
Is Casey Printers dangerous? And I'll tell you something else, Michael, is the fact that everybody on that offensive line knows that he has that escapability. They didn't give up on the play, and when he came back, they formed a line. Now, I'm going to try to stop this video at one point. Let it roll. Now, watch when he comes back, and you watch all the white jerseys pick up the red. They folded behind him, formed the line, and by this time, Schobel had cleared coverage. Great job by the offensive line, and, of course, Printers using that athletic ability.
Well, Matt Schobel, the H-back and tight end, whose cousin Bo plays on the defensive side, they hook up for a 67-yard touchdown, and Nick Brown, the left-footed sophomore soccer player, adds the extra point. And the few folks in purple among this sea of red have reason to celebrate and cheer. 67 yards, Printers to Schobel, and TCU makes something happen in Lincoln. All tied at 7. Casey Printers has been working on that right thigh while you were away.
Looks like he might have tweaked a muscle, pulled a muscle a little bit in that thigh.
After some of the moves he made on that play, understandable.
He certainly didn't get hit at the end of it, so he's trying to stretch it out, so he might have just tweaked a muscle.
TCU has silenced the crowd for a moment. Gary Patterson, age 41, 3 years the defensive coordinator at TCU. Sees his team tied at 7 as Shane Hudnall, the sophomore, kicks it, and Josh Davis catches for the Huskers. Takes it out to the 23, 17 on the return, and that's an area Nebraska has worked very hard on this summer. The Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic on ABC Sports, brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. We understand what you're working for. Chevrolet, if only everything was as dependable as a Chevy. Chevy, we'll be there. Advil, nothing you can buy is proven to work better than Advil. And new Nivea for Men Aftershave Balm, more evolved skincare.
Mike, it is critical that TCU come out and do something defensively. They've got to make a stop. It was too easy for Nebraska the first series. 6 plays, took 2 minutes for the touchdown.
Crouch to the air on first down, and airing out that surgically repaired arm. Big catch by Wilton Thomas. The junior takes it all the way out to the 40.
Flag back at the line of scrimmage on. It looks like it's going to be holding against Nebraska, so bring it back.
38 yards erased there.
And a huge break for TCU.
Tim, we point out Crouch when he goes back to pass. Everyone in Lincoln wants to see that shoulder after the second straight summer of surgery on the throwing shoulder, and he looked pretty good there.
Well, and it's interesting, when we talked to Frank Solich about it, he said that this surgery actually improved his motion. He was throwing it like a baseball before, and now with the surgery, it kind of freed the shoulder up, and he's throwing better than he's ever thrown.
Illegal hands to the face on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. Repeat first down.
Huge break for TCU. Watch number 77 right here. See the hands to the face. He gets them up high. He's got the face mask. Uses that to his advantage. That leverage is an unfair attack, and of course they bring it back. But, you know, you're talking about throwing, Mike. There are a lot of people that believe if Nebraska is going to win the national championship, this team is going to have to throw. And to be honest, Crouch did not throw well last year. He only completed 48% of his passes, and he'll have to improve on that if they're going to get to Pasadena.
After the penalty, it's 1st and 20. A little ball handling issue. Crouch is just going to keep it and gain just 2 yards. We have a second. Here's Todd Harris.
Thank you, Michael. The story on Casey Printers is he seems to be fine. He's got a little strain in the quadricep. He looked at me and said, I'm going to be all right. But the big story is the tight end, Matt Schobel. He is out for the half, pulled something in his hamstring. They'll reevaluate him in the locker room at halftime, but he will have no more action this half. Mike?
And Todd, that hamstring injury only allowed Schobel to practice 1 week on the way leading up to this season. He is so key in their offense. Second and 18, Nebraska. Tough pitch to Collins. He's lucky to get to it. One of the concerns of not having Darren Diedrich is the option. Crouch and Collins haven't worked as much on the option. Right after we're done, the U.S. Championship game of the Little League World Series. Those Bronx Baby Bombers from New York take on Florida. The winner goes to the World Championship game that you'll see tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern. It's the Little League World Series presented by Honda, next on ABC. And by the way, that game will be available in SAP for the Spanish-speaking audience so interested in those baby Bronx Bombers. 3rd and long, Nebraska. Crouch to the tight end, Wistrom, but not much happening. Just to the 20. And, Tim, as you said, TCU able to get a defensive stop.
Well, they used 5 defensive backs, and number 17 right there is Charlie Owens. He's the team leader, the tone setter. They moved him around all the time. He's going to lead you to the ball. Here he is right here. They knew they were going to the tight end, Wistrom. He was their leading receiver last year. So where's Owens? He's locked on the tight end. Makes the tackle. Good stop. Great call defensively by Chuck Drisbach.
Kyle Larson, first punt as a Nebraska Cornhusker. Sophomore trying to continue the walk-on tradition of good punting at Nebraska. Wow. About 55 yards worth of wow. Nice move by Jason Goss to miss the first man. A flag is down as Goss fights forward to the 38. The flag down where he caught it.
You know, you always have the risk here of a block in the back, but I think they may have encroached in the circle. That receiver has that 2-yard circle to make that catch, and the coverage was down so quickly they may have gotten in there, but no, that's not it.
It'll be on Patterson's team.
Which will probably be a block in the back.
Illegal block in the back during the return. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
So a longer field for TCU. They'll start from their own 15. But KC Printers and the Horned Frogs are all tied. About 2/3 of the way through the first quarter.
Let's go, Huskers! Here we go, Huskers!
Back in Lincoln, 1st and 10 TCU. And our 1st and 10 line is presented by Pontiac. The KC Printers and the Horned Frogs, long field to deal with. They're tied at 7. Option Madison. Nowhere for Ricky Madison to go. The black shirts. The Nebraska defensive tradition continues. Scott Shanley led the charge. Tim, let's talk for a second about Ricky Madison and Corey Connolly, the backs who will have to replace LT, as he was known, LaDainian Tomlinson, 5th overall pick in the NFL draft by San Diego. The guy ran for 4,000 yards the last 2 years. So it's big shoes to fill. Well, they sure are. And Ricky Madison comes in. He's only 5'9". He's a sophomore. He is the fastest back that they have. They say he's got good feet. But it's hard to beat it around the corner when you've got 3 and 4 guys in red jerseys waiting for you. And then there's Conley. He's 5'11", 187. He had an excellent spring, solid camp, but he's not experienced either. Play action for Printers. Incomplete for Dunbar. Locked up on the other number 3, Keogh Craver. Both number 3s when TCU has the ball. It's a place to watch. Maybe the best offensive player for the Horned Frogs, best defensive player for the Huskers. You know, I'm going to tell you something. Dunbar got a little separation here. He kind of pushed off, came back. That ball should be right there. But Printers is hurt. He's limping around out there. He doesn't look comfortable. Every time he has a chance, he holds his quad. You know, he grabs his thigh. And he's having a problem with it right now. Casey's first incompletion. That was a poorly thrown ball, too, probably because of the leg. Sets that time, but is incomplete. Looking for Hudnall coming across the middle, and that's 3 and out. With 2 incomplete passes, didn't let a lot of time go off the clock either. Now, that's impatience. He's got to take more time. As a matter of fact, they ought to take more time getting to the line of scrimmage, be comfortable with it, get the play set. That's a terrific defensive stand by the defense, though. Joey Biasotti back in to kick. Keogh Craver on the return. Biasotti missed that one. But it works out okay. Kept tumbling forward and will be downed by Dunbar at the 44. Just 56 yards of field for Frank Solich's offense after a 41-yard kick. Tim, what about their key losses? Well, they obviously, when you look at the running backs, you look at Alexander and Buckholter, and that's a huge loss because those 2 guys were huge last year. You mentioned the right side of the line when you did lineups. Rayola and Hochstein, they were big, they were strong, and they were the leaders up front. That's a huge loss. Now you factor in the fact that the wide receivers are gone, Matt Davison, and of course, who'd they have? Bobby Newsome on the other side. Quality receivers there, so big losses for Nebraska as well. Collins, first down, not much, just a couple of yards. And Tim, you know, you can't overrate the 2 running backs that they lost, and that's why there's so much focus on the I-back spot. When you lose your number 8 and number 10 all-time running back in yardage gained, and you're talking about 2 Nebraska top 10 all-time rushers, that's significant experience. Well, and of course they won the rushing title last year for the 6th time in 9 years, but they need a quick-footed, smash-mouth guy
to really run them to the Rose Bowl. And they really haven't had that since Mike Rozier and Lawrence Phillips, anybody of that caliber anywhere.
After a gain of 2 on 2nd down, Crouch keeps on the option. And he stopped. A nice job by TCU playing the option there. It'll bring up 3rd down. Chad Pugh off the nose. Helped lead the line charge and allowed Marcus McDonald to come clean up and make the tackle.
It's imperative that Nebraska capitalizes on this field position. Normally, you cut the field in half and put them up by midfield like this, and it's like running downhill for them. But this could be a huge boost for TCU if they can make the stop here.
They spread it out with 4 receivers. Crouch out of the gun, and he's so dangerous running in these situations. Throws this time. John Gibson. Much more for Gibson. To the 11-yard line. Jason Goss recovered, but too late.
Well, I don't know if they're going after Goss on purpose or not, but the long pass completion that was pulled back because of the hands to the face, that was on Jason Goss. Now they go on Jason Goss again. You see 17 here. That's Owens. He'll take the slant across the middle. It leads the outside one-on-one. That's Goss, and he loses the battle. I mean, he got trapped. He lost his balance. He lost his leverage. Consequently, a big pickup for Nebraska.
41 yards of big for Gibson, a senior playing in his 6th year because of injury. Thunder Collins ran into his own man. That's the only thing that kept him from the end zone. Leo Fanuti, the offensive lineman, is so big. Collins couldn't bounce off him and keep going, but it's 1 yard shy of a Nebraska touchdown.
He's not a very big guy, 6'2", 190. Looks even thinner than that, especially when you look at his legs. He's got real thin legs, but he's quick.
What Frank Solich told us yesterday, kind of a receiver body when he arrived here.
Receiver body and big-time name, Thunder Collins. How cool is that for a running back? And that's his real name. His dad is Thunder Sr.
1st down, and right at the goal line for the touchdown is Crouch. He is just short of 6, but it will be 1st and goal, Nebraska.
Crowd doesn't like it because it looked like he got across the plane, but his knee hit first, and the officials were right on it.
Nebraska, as you know, always excellent in the red zone. And TCU's offense last year was also terrific in the red zone. They didn't score but 1 time when they got in the red zone, and Nebraska 46 out of 51.
You know what's amazing about that, Mike? Look at the touchdowns. I mean, the majority of them are touchdowns. Scoring in the red zone is one thing, and it's always good to walk away with at least 3, but they walk away with the touchdowns.
But what does that tell us? These 2 teams being so good in the red zone tells you how important
about the running game
to run it down.
Without
there,
a doubt, without a doubt. You know, a lot of people get on Nebraska for running the ball too much, but the success they have, I mean, it's incredible.
Ask the opposing defenses about 350 yards a game. Crouch keeps and scores. Touchdown, Nebraska.
Get down around that goal line, it becomes Volk at 300 pounds, Pinotti 340. Garrison is almost 290. Rutherford is 300 pounds. I mean, that's a load. Waldrop is 330. And they're going against smaller guys. These TCU guys, the biggest guy on that defensive line is Pugh at 277.
42nd career rushing touchdown for Eric Crouch, and that, to be very blunt, was one of his easiest. Botched snap, so trouble. And nothing going as the holder, Joe Chrisman, had to take it and try to run with it. So Kenneth Hilliard makes the stop, and Nebraska's lead is 13-7. Rare that you see a bad snap. John Garrison was perfect his first 2 years. Never made a bad snap, but some trouble there. So Frank Solich's team only leads by 6. We've talked about Thunder Collins. Darren Dietrich suspended. He was supposed to be the starting I-back for this game. We sat with Frank, and he told us how difficult it was to make the decision for the suspension for a player who worked hard all offseason and really was ready to step into his new role.
If we're able to win and play 13, 14 games, you know, you're talking about somewhere around 8% of your season gone when you sit out 1 game, you know, and that's pretty heavy when you work year-round. And Darren had certainly put himself in position to be the starter for us. That was his goal and dream once he stepped into our program here to become the starter, and for him then to be taken out of that in a nationally televised game, I think is a severe penalty.
The reason Diedrich was arrested a week ago tonight was failure to disperse. There was some trouble at a night spot down on O Street, the hot spot here in Lincoln. And he was told to leave and didn't. There was no alcohol involved. The player did not have alcohol in his system. But Frank Solich is trying to draw a bold red line and say, guys, no more. Diedrich stepped over it, and no matter who it is, had to pay the price.
I'm going to tell you something, too. By making that as tough as it is, and he's very close to Diedrich, too. He didn't really want to do it. He's right when he says it was hard. It was the only decision, and the team, I'm sure, will respect him for it.
Great kick by Sandro DeAngelis that time. It is a touchback for TCU. Well, tomorrow, our college football opening weekend continues. We'll take you to the Meadowlands of East Rutherford, New Jersey. Watch Syracuse take on George Godsey at number 13, Georgia Tech. The Kickoff Classic live at 2 Eastern on ABC Sports. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swan settling in Jersey, and they'll bring you that one tomorrow. The Orangemen coming off a non-bowl season at 6-5, and a lot expected for Georgia Tech, with not only Godsey but Kelly Campbell back and 9 starters on the defensive side.
But it's going to be interesting to see Tech, though, offensively without Ralph Friedgen, who is the mastermind of that offense.
The former offensive coordinator in Atlanta is the new head coach at Maryland. First down run, Ricky Madison drops a couple of yards. And that's the first down problem. Casey Nelson in the Nebraska defense, Bedrell the linebacker, so good against the run, they put you in these impossible second and long situations.
You know, the other point that we really haven't touched on, we talked about all the guys that they've lost. TCU lost 26 seniors in all. The Horned Frogs now have to develop a chemistry. They've got to find out what they're made of. And coming in here, I really believe it's a win-win situation, regardless of the outcome. You get a big payday, you get national TV exposure. Kids, it'd be easier to recruit because you say, hey, look, we played the Nebraskas. I think it's all good for them.
They had to take a timeout. They broke the huddle with 12 players. We're trying to walk one off the field, and that would have been a penalty. So Casey Printers caught the sideline's eye, and they were trying to tell him to take time out and step away for a minute. Well, Tim, it's an interesting question because a lot of people have asked me, why in the world, with all these seniors lost, would TCU come in here in a game where you have very little chance to win when it's the first regular season game for a new head coach?
Well, we talked about the money. You talk about the paycheck. You talk about the exposure and how that helps recruiting. Of course, if you're going to have big-time facilities and you want to develop a big-time program, you have to play teams like this. You know, the thing about Gary Patterson is coming in, he's looking at this game and saying, hey, we're taking a step up in caliber because as you look at the schedule, we're playing better teams in a different conference that a lot of people really believe is a step up for them. You play in Nebraska right out of the gate. Can anybody be better than that? And so the kids mentally get a little bit of advantage, too, as they go into this new conference. So I really think for Gary Patterson and TCU, regardless of the outcome today, this is a win-win situation.
If they can come out of here without major injuries and not all beat up,
good point,
they've got a chance to really make it a positive, a true positive for this season and beyond.
Point well taken. Absolutely correct.
Well, Gary told us, he said, you keep asking folks for, we want your money so we can build better facilities, attract better players down in the Metroplex in Dallas-Fort Worth. At some point, you've got to measure yourself against the best. And clearly, they're doing that this afternoon in Lincoln.
They want to make sure that 10-2 season last year wasn't an aberration, and here comes another flag.
Just before the snap, it was going to be 2nd and 11.
Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
You know what you're seeing here? You're seeing opening day. Invariably opening day, and this is in the best teams, and you've also seen it in Nebraska already with a couple of flags. You know, you get that inconsistency, timing's off a little bit, everything's not sharp, defense is always a little bit ahead of the offense. This is just opening day.
And we saw it with the missed snap on the extra point. Special teams, always a concern week 1. Second and 16. Trying to establish a run with Ricky Madison, who cut back, uses his speed, and is a yard short of the first down. Deion Booker, the senior from Oceanside, California, chased him down, but chance to pick it up now. 3rd and a couple coming up.
That's a nice play by Booker, who did chase him down. It was one-on-one, had to use his speed and keep him from that first down mark, which also now gives the defense another shot at making the stop and turning the ball over with a punt.
In TCU, let the clock run out. No reason to rush a play. You're playing Nebraska. The fewer plays, the less they can score.
You know, we laugh about that, but that's absolutely correct. You want to shorten the game. You want to keep Crouch on the sidelines.
15 minutes in the books on a perfect 80-degree afternoon in Lincoln. Frank Solich's team scored early. TCU answered with a surprise, but Nebraska came back with another touchdown. Nebraska 13, TCU 7, opening quarter of the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic.
Circuit City presents The Big Picture. In 1997, the Cornhuskers faced off against the Missouri Tigers in Columbia. The game went to overtime as Scott Frost led the team to a 45-38 victory. What you may not have known is that Nebraska's #1 ranking was on the line as they trailed by 7 points with no timeouts and 1 minute left in regulation. This incredible play as time expired enabled Nebraska to go on to victory.
With Tim Brent and Todd Harris, Mike Tirico, glad you're with us for the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic. Oh, Tim, not too bad, TCU in the opening quarter.
No, those numbers are a little bit skewed, Mike, because of both sides had a couple big plays, long runs. But I'll tell you, TCU has to be happy with that. First downs are almost even. Time of possession is almost even.
3rd and 2, they try to run left side with Ricky Madison, but Barrett Rude, true freshman from Lincoln, who they love here in Nebraska, said none of that, and it will be 4th down in a punting situation for the Horned Frogs.
But that was a big stop by Nebraska. Certainly, I mean, it's 3rd down and short. They make the stop. Dunbar hadn't really been involved in the game. He's got 1 pass completion, 1 reception rather.
Biasotti into punt. Twin safeties now. Dewan Gross and Keo Craver go back for Nebraska. And Nebraska has put a lot of work into special teams. They were unhappy with returns last year. Gross let it hit. Flag is down. A couple of them as Gross goes down at the 28-yard line. Now, maybe back to the practice field for more work. It was not a smooth-looking return at all.
This penalty might take him back to the practice field.
And LaTerrence Dunbar may be shaken up for TCU.
Boy, how about that? You know, if you're Gary Patterson, you have to be just shaking your head because already you've got Printers with a tweaked muscle in his quad. He's not at full speed now, and he's your star. The other star is LaTerrence Dunbar, and now he's down.
Hold on Nebraska, face mask on TCU, and Dunbar fortunately looks to be okay. And of course you have Matt Schobel, who caught the touchdown, out for the rest of the half with his hamstring injury. Terrence led the nation in kickoff returns the last 2 years, and not often you see that player on kick coverage. But the speed need is there for TCU.
Got 2 flags down, and I don't think it's for the same penalty.
One's the hold on
Exactly.
Nebraska, and one's the 5-yard face mask on TCU.
We had an illegal block in the back on the return. We had a face mask on the kicking team. The penalty's offset. Repeat 4th down.
That works well for Nebraska. You know, Tim, it gives us a good chance to let the fans know that there were no significant rules changes in the offseason. 6 small rules that really don't factor in very often, but we come across them, we'll bring them to your attention. But the rules are about the same as last year. On Monday night, ABC Sports will be in Mexico City. The Dallas Cowboys and quarterback Quincy Carter take on the Oakland Raiders with Jerry Rice. The American Bowl, Monday Night Football, live at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, here on ABC. Al, Dan, Dennis, Eric, and Melissa south of the border for the Cowboys and Raiders on Monday night. Joey Biasotti, the junior, punts again. See if Nebraska handles this one better. On the run, much better. Keo Craver ran in to Dewan Gross. Craver had a lot of space, and Gross knocked him down, but Nebraska will take over in TCU territory. The Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic on ABC, brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. We understand what you're working for. Mobile and Speed Pass, today's way to play. Cadillac, the fusion of design and technology. And Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light. Are you ready for a cold one? Not a hot one in Lincoln. It was over 100 for the season opener here last year. Overcast and right about 80 degrees today. Play action, crouching, trouble, and goes down. They brought the heat from Marvin Godbolt. The strong safety makes the play.
This is a 4-2-5 defense, which means that you've got 5 backs in there, and Godbold came on the safety blitz. Here's a look at Frank Solich. Now, he's not only the head coach, but he also is the offensive coordinator. The plays that you're seeing now and have all through this ball game are all scripted. He's calling plays off a chart up until about 5 more plays. So whatever the down and distance, he has a designed play for that situation. When he finds a scheme and a play that works, then the script goes away. He just starts to hammer.
2nd and 21. What does the script say here? Incomplete. Pass was intended for the huge tight end Aaron Galladay. The fans were looking for pass interference, but none was called.
He's going to that script right now, and he's making the play, the call on the down and distance. So he said he'll do this throughout the first quarter and probably the first 5-10 minutes of the second quarter. Once he finds what has been working, then they go back, and that's what they start to hammer on. Putting the defense in a lot of different situations to see where they're weakest.
Well, 3rd and 21 for Nebraska, leading by 6. Crouch elusive as the pressure came, but he is knocked out of bounds at the 48-yard line by Charlie Owens. TCU's defense has taken the early punch to the stomach and battled back a little bit. Nice stop here for the Horned Frogs.
How about that defensive stand by the Horned Frogs? Putting a lot of pressure. They come from the outside again. They blitz him on the corner. They try to force him out of there. Now everybody circles, and here comes 17 Owens, the guy who's really watching Crouch, not an actual spy, but his main focus today is Crouch. Wherever he goes, you'll see Charlie Owens there.
Well, Gary Patterson carries his blitz card in his pocket wherever he goes. He produced it on command for us during our meeting yesterday, and he's bringing the heat.
They've got to blitz. It's a small team. They've got to beat him with quickness.
Kyle Larson's beautiful kick. Goss caught it inside the 10. That's a no-no, and a flag came down as well. Jason Goss returned 3 kicks last year, but didn't remember Rule 1 of punt returning. Inside the 10, let it go. Let's check out the flag. Frank Solich has to like what he's seen so far out of his punter, Kyle Larson.
I think Gary Patterson has to be pleased with his club as well.
No flag on the play.
And TCU will take over at its own 9 when we come back. 2 minutes gone by, second quarter. TCU's only down 6 at Nebraska. Casey Printers has a 67-yard touchdown pass in his numbers. Eric Crouch's inflated by a 33-yard run. These 2 running threats with good arms. Crouch will now watch as Printers takes over deep in his own territory. TCU at its own 9, trailing by 6. Madison -2. There's nowhere to go on that defensive front. Keep trying to run left. They keep showing up.
Boy, Jamie Burrow got there in a hurry. The linebacker for Nebraska came through. Great play by the linebacker.
All right, time for the first Aflac trivia question of the season. Name the 5 teams who have finished in the top 25 each of the last 10 years. 5 teams have finished the season in that top 25 for a decade straight. Name them. Think about it. We'll check it in a few.
Oh, what an easy question to start with.
Not easy.
Come on. You think it's hard.
Illegal substitution on the offense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal.
It's exactly what happened to them earlier that forced them to call the timeout. Too many in the huddle before they broke the huddle. And again, the youth and the explanations that are needed.
See, those questions are always easy when you have the cheat sheet in front of
you. I got 4 of the 5 without the cheat sheet.
Well, you didn't give me a chance.
Just because you're over-prepared for week 1, Tim. You know? It's loud down here. 2nd and 16. And the black shirts are coming after you. Nice ball fake by Printers, but a flag is down before this play ever got going. Nice little sleight of hand with the ball, but Gary Patterson's offense is having some problems.
They jumped a little bit too early.
Snap. Ball start, offense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. Remain 2nd down.
You see Gary's in the position of asking questions only to the offense. He doesn't get involved very much with the offense. He's the defensive coordinator still, not in title, but in reality.
Well, and you know what? They're backed up. It's hot. John Gludd's 332 pounds of left tackle. He just tried to give himself a little quick start and move too early.
Just listen, 2nd and 17. Ricky Madison, room to breathe out at the 4. 3rd and long coming up. This Nebraska defense gave up 19.5 points last year. That is as high as we've seen a Nebraska defense in the last 20-plus years. So there is some concern about how the question marks are going to answer the question on the field.
Well, they realize they have to get better. I mean, when Nebraska finishes 6th in the league defensively, that's really unusual.
In the league, not the nation.
In the league.
That's right. Printers letting it out, 3rd and 15. Craver ran into Adrian Medice, the wide receiver. No flag, incomplete pass, and a punting situation. I mean, that was just...
I don't know if Craver got away with one or not, but the ball was in the air when that contact took place.
I think he did.
Now, was the ball uncatchable? That's probably what they're saying, but there was definitely contact.
Joey Biasotti, who can get it away quick.
He's going to have to because they're coming hard. Bottom line is Nebraska's going to get great field position regardless.
Got it away with some hang time. Beautiful kick, too. But Craver back to the 41, and he couldn't hang on. He was tripped up at the 44-yard line. DJ Roberts and Terrence Dunbar in on the tackle. Dunbar made the first hit. Nebraska still good field position. They lead only by 6 now. 4 minutes in, 2nd quarter. Nebraska starts from its own 45, their average starting position, the 39-yard line. What a big time for a big punt by Joey Biasotti to give TCU's defense a chance here. Deontay Grigsby, the sophomore from Omaha, now in at the I-back spot. On the option, Crouch is pulled down. The speed from that linebacking core is pretty impressive. And Chad Baer made the play. He's the top tackler from last year.
Here's Baird. You got a guy coming off the corner to take the pitch man, and Baird comes through and gets Crouch. This is an outstanding defensive play. Watch Baird come. Comes hard. There's Crouch. You see 17 out there, takes the pitch man. That is perfectly defensed. Again, they run that option. They see it all the time in practice. That time they executed defensively perfectly.
3 years ago, Chad Baer was a walk-on, 400-pound power cleaner in the weight room now. He's made himself into a big-time player. Design play to have Crouch act as a running back. Doesn't get back to the original line. 3rd and 11 coming up. This TCU defense getting it done. All right, do you have it? The Aflac trivia answer. 5 teams, top 25, each of the last 10 years. Obviously, the Cornhuskers. That's why we're asking.
You have to have this one involved. Certainly, you have the Florida teams, Florida and Florida State. Then comes Michigan and Tennessee.
Tennessee's the one that ekes in right at the bottom of the poll last year, number 25. And they were otherwise going to be out of that mix. But as you would expect, the teams that are every other year in the title talk. 3rd and 11. Perfect pass by Crouch to Wilson Thomas. First down, Nebraska. Wilson Thomas caught 1 ball all of last year. Has to step up and fill that Davison-Newcomb void this year.
This is all Crouch. They had pressure coming. Crouch got outside of it. They're in a 2-deep zone, so they throw over number 2, Hilliard, the safety, and they get in front of Godbold for the completion. But that was all Crouch. He bought time, avoided 2 tacklers, and then waited patiently for the receiver to clear and put the ball right there.
At the 37, see if the Huskers continue to pound it a little bit. Fullback Steve Krewall. Pads popping, but not much yardage gain. Less than a yard. Let's go downstairs to Todd Harris, who has a guy who used to star on this field.
All right, thank you, Michael. This guy's got 3 national titles in Nebraska. You go into the NFL, you get a Super Bowl ring. Grant Wistrom, nice to be back in Lincoln.
Oh, yeah, great to come back here.
Evaluate your brother so far. How do you think he's going so far, and how do you think his season will be?
I'm proud of him. I mean, I thought he had a terrific year last year, and I know he's worked very hard in the offseason to prepare himself for this year, and you know, I expect nothing but the best from him.
I know you want to watch a lot of offense, but how about your black shirts so far in this game?
Yeah, I think, you know, they gave up the long play, but all in all, they played pretty well today, I thought.
And this new turf makes it a little quicker. I know you like Eric Crouch's athletic ability. The team in whole, national title hunt, you think?
Absolutely. I mean, a school like Nebraska, you know, you got to consider them every year. And to win a national title, it takes a lot of lucky breaks. But, you know, hopefully they'll, you know, the ball bounce the right way for them, and, you know, they'll play hard enough to win every week.
I know it's tough for you to evaluate the offense, but this is a 3rd and long, a good play for your little brother. Is this something where you see maybe Frank Zolich roll him out and give him some action?
I hope so. He caught the short pass earlier. I'd like to see him air it out a little bit, maybe go deep with him. But you just never know with Coach Zolich. It might be a run right up the middle.
All right. Wish you best of luck in your career. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you.
Well, it's either going to take a timeout. Maybe they'll design a play for the little brother at 6'5", 240. Tracy Wistrom, All-American potential tight end. Today, it's the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic on ABC. Nebraska leading by just 6 at the 8-minute mark, second quarter. It's 3rd and long for the 3rd time in the last couple of drives, Jim.
And that's demoralizing for a defense when you hold them, and then all of a sudden they pick it up on 3rd down when they have forever to go.
Let's watch the tight end, Tracy Wistrom, see if he works the middle of the field. Wilson Thomas in motion. Crouch, first option was covered, and the pressure gets to him again. LaMarcus McDonald brought the heat, and it is 4th down, Nebraska.
Wistrom was covered from the get-go. He looked at Wilson Thomas as well coming on the slant, but he felt the pressure, stepped up, and by that time he was losing his balance. Watch some of the pressure coming now. Again, they run a blitz virtually every play. So you know the linebackers are going to come. They've got 5 DBs in, and you see everybody comes, they collapse, and then Crouch just loses his balance because of the pressure. Here's Wistrom. You see the good coverage on him. That's Hyam, the safety, who's on him all the way. The second option was Wilson Thomas, number 9, and he was covered.
Their punts of 56 and 48. Larson just gets that away. The message was clear. Get out if it's inside the 10. But the punt was perfect. Down by DeJuan Gross at the 1. Now Kyle Larson's going to follow the legend of walk-on punters at quarterback. You have Haydenfeld from last year who did such a great job, and before that, Bill LaFleur. Excellent punters. Let's go down to Todd Harris.
Well, gentlemen, it looks like Sean Stiley's going to go in because Casey Printers, they said yesterday when we talked to the coaches, they take him out usually in the second quarter to settle him down, to give him a different look from the sideline. But this could be more than that. He has been receiving treatment for that bruised quad or strained quad every time he comes out, so Stiley may stay in longer than Coach Patterson wants.
Todd, I have to believe it is that quad, because you wouldn't put a new quarterback in this situation when you're inside the 1. A guy who has not touched the ball. He's not a normal starter.
On the offense.
And now they're going to move him back inside that 1 almost to the goal line, half the distance.
And Tim, that is a second illegal substitution penalty, but the 3rd time they've had the problem, because once they used the timeout to avoid the flag.
You know, this has to be the injury to Printers. I cannot believe that Gary Patterson would take him out and put somebody else in this situation.
They're having problems getting 12 players on the field in the huddle. New assistant coaches as well. Maybe that's part of the confusion here, but you are right. New tailback as well, Corey Connolly. Woo. Stiley just keeps it, so he has room to take the snap the next time.
I will say that's a very smart play there. Just give him the quarterback sneak. He's big. He's 6'4". He's 234 pounds. He's a strong guy. Just get behind that big center, Johnson and Powell and Allenbaugh. They'll drive you and get you a couple, which gets you a little breathing room out to the 2.
Stiley was an option quarterback in high school, had a good spring. Played in just 6 games last year, 2 games the year before. He's thrown 10 times in his career.
They don't want to call the option down here. I've got to believe you got to keep powering it out and try to get some room for the punter.
Oh, play action with Stiley. His 11th career
pass. How about this?
Caught.
How about this?
To the 11's Adrian Medice.
I'm thinking conservative. Don't give any points away here before the half with 6.5 to go till intermission. I'm thinking just get it out and punt it out of there. They come out slinging. How about this? Stiley rolls, shows good athletic ability here. Nobody's out there for containing, so he's not hurried, and he throws a strike. That is perfect, and that's a gamble. Brings up 3rd and short.
TCU has missed on its last 4 third-down conversions. Tim, I got to tell you, I am shocked.
I am too.
I am shocked. This is a 6-point game with 6 minutes left in the first half.
I'd go quarterback sneak again here and try to get a first. How am I doing?
They'll try to run Connolly.
takes too long to develop.
Yep.
You've got to go right in and get it.
Willie Amos led the charge. Another punt for TCU. And Nebraska keeps getting great field position. The black shirts are doing their job.
Mike, what they have? Less than a yard there, and they actually lost yardage. See, this is a situation. I'd take it right up and use that big body again for the first. He takes 4 steps back. That gives the defense time to penetrate. It takes too long to develop, and then they take him off tackle wide.
One more time, Joey Biasotti, the junior punter. Good protection. Great hang time.
Look at this.
DeJuan Gross all the way back to the 36. Got a block from Graver. Again, runs into his own man, although TCU's coverage was there. Nebraska will take over at its own 45. Well, ABC Sports Online, if you've been logging on during the week, we've been asking you to ask us a question. Here's the one we picked out from Jack in Columbus, Nebraska, about 90 minutes west of Omaha. Do you think Frank Solich should make Ron Brown the offensive coordinator here at Nebraska? Ron Brown has been around the program for a while, 14 years. He's the receivers coach. You have Turner Gill. There's been a lot of questions. Should Turner Gill, the quarterback coach and great Nebraska quarterback, should he take over play calling? But Tim, what's wrong with the offense?
I think absolutely nothing. You talk about a team that averages 42 points a game. Look at the rushing yards last year, the total yards. You see where they were in the nation. Everything's successful. Now, Ron Brown is a terrific coach. As you mentioned, this is his 15th year. Turner Gill's been here 10 years. Dave Gillespie, the running backs coach, is probably the newest at 4 years. You know, they all work together, but Frank Solich is the guy that designed this, or actually picked up from where Tom Osborne left off, and he does a great job with it. I wouldn't change anything.
Goes down, they try to run, use the misdirection for deception, but Thunder Collins is stopped for a 2-yard loss. And do you hear the unrest?
Would you change the offense, though, with the success they've had?
No way. The fans around here are they see Oklahoma, and they see Oklahoma spread it out. And they see Texas Tech come in here and spread it out. And they say, we have to do that to keep up with the Joneses. But when you run for 350 yards a game and score 41 and a half a game, why make a change? It still works.
No, absolutely it works. And Nebraska is power football, but they still run counters. They run options. They mix it all in. And Crouch can throw, and probably will throw more this year.
There's a 2nd and 12 throw. It was covered, and the pass was incomplete. Jason Goss, who's been picked on, was right there with Wilson Thomas.
Although, what a perfect time to ask that question when the offense is struggling a little bit.
I think the folks here are looking at, well, let's see. We're in Nebraska. All right, we've played 25 minutes against TCU and only have 73 rushing yards. Something's got to be wrong there. That's what the fans are thinking. Maybe they don't realize TCU has recruited very well. They had a good defense last year, best in the nation. This guy's got a lot to do with it. He's aggressive, he's blitzing, he's getting the job done defensively.
He's running pass blitzes, run blitzes. He's using his quickness. He knows he's outmanned size-wise.
3rd and 12. He got the pressure and the interception. Jason Goss in Nebraska territory at the Cornhusker 45.
Goss was picked on twice. They beat him long. They brought one back by penalty. The other set up a touchdown. But Goss this time just sitting in a zone, in a hook zone, and it was almost like Crouch never saw him and threw right to him.
How about Bobby Pollard with the heat?
Here's what Crouch looks at now. Here's his view. You see him drop back in a zone. It's actually a combination zone. Man to the left. These were in a zone on that side, and Goss picks it off. He never did see him, although I don't see how he could avoid him. I mean, he was right in his line of fire right there in front of the receiver.
First turnover of the game. Best starting position for TCU. Printers is back in there, and he wants it all. Dunbar was step for step with DeJuan Gross. Good coverage by Gross, the junior from Ohio.
I'll tell you this, coverage doesn't get better than DeJuan Gross had right there. You talk about forcing the guy to the outside, using the sidelines, and staying in his hip pocket. You don't look back until you feel the ball. You're reading his eyes. They get a little bit wider when that ball's almost there. That is great coverage in his hip pocket, running with him step for step.
I love the play call. Let's get it.
Go for it right away.
Absolutely. Playing like they have nothing to lose. Ricky Madison lost the football. And Nebraska's got it. Chris Kelsey stripped it. And Scott Shanley recovered it. Boy, does that hurt TCU.
You mentioned Kelsey stripped it. That wasn't accidental either. If you watch 57 right here on your screen, watch once he wraps, and then watch his right arm. His right arm will rip it. You wrap, then rip. He tears it out, and then the pursuit gets to the football. Terrific job by the defense, especially Kelsey.
That turnover was created in the weight room. First down run. Thunder Collins gets to the 49. That's about 6 yards.
You know, you make a good point. It is in the weight room where the strength comes from, but also the technique. They're taught to wrap, then rip, and he did it. You can't rip unless he's wrapped or he's going.
Hey, just like they did last year, I West, the sprint drill.
Tyrone Sanders shaken up momentarily for TCU. Gary Patterson has to make a DB change while we have a second. 1 week from today, college football triple header on ABC. We welcome back to the Big East to ABC Sports. West Virginia, BC, or North Carolina, Maryland, your first game. And at 3:30 Eastern, Oklahoma, the defending national champs, against Air Force, or Colorado State, Colorado. And then in prime time, Oregon, Wisconsin, Miami, Penn State. Triple header on ABC. Get all the games on pay-per-view by calling your local cable operator or satellite provider. This is 2nd and 4. Thunder Collins. Marcus McDonald from Waco, Texas, is having some kind of game. He's been in the backfield as much as the Nebraska running backs.
Mike, can I tell you something? Nebraska on their first drive had 6 carries, 70 yards. Since that first drive, they've had 16 runs and gained only 9 yards.
Wow.
That's how aggressive TCU has become. With that, a lot of confidence. They believe now they can play with him. They're starting to believe in Gary Patterson and the scheme that they've thrown at him with defensive coordinator Chuck Drisbach. They're blitzing on everything, and they're believing in it and making it work.
The last time they faked the blitz, dropped back in the zone, confused Crouch, who caused a pick. 3rd and 10. That is complete for a first down to Wilson Thomas at the 45. A penalty marker is down in the TCU secondary.
Interesting that time how Crouch didn't feel the pressure because, again, they only brought 4 on the rush, and everybody dropped back in the zone.
And there's defensive holding on TCU. Gary Patterson has been in this stadium before as a player. He played at Kansas State, and in 1980 came in here as a defensive back. He suffered a hip pointer, and his team lost 55-8.
Holding on the defense. The penalty is declined. First down.
So Gary knows what it's all about here and how your team must stay focused.
Here's the rush. They brought 4 guys. Everybody else dropped back in the zone. Looked like just a hand, just trying to gain the leverage. See the hand on him? He's got it on Thomas's back. Got a little cloth. They're going to throw the flag on that. But if you're Gary Patterson right now, you've got to be watching that clock and say, hey, we're down to 2.5 minutes. Let's survive and get out of this thing. Get to the locker room at 13-7.
Defense, can you do it one more time? Thunder Collins. Nowhere to go. Chad Bear made the play. Marker down.
Between Chad Bear and LaMarcus McDonald, they are just playing all out. Let's leave nothing except what we have here on the field. This is, I mean, really going after it.
Valvoline halftime show coming up from Times Square Stadium in New York. John Saunders and Terry Bowden will be with you every step of the way on the way to the Rose Bowl and the Bowl Championship Series title game here on ABC. It's a personal foul against Nebraska.
After the play was over, personal foul on the offense, 15-yard penalty. It will be second down.
Second down, and
wow.
Boy, Chad Bear, underrated linebacker, steady performer, leading tackler. He was a walk-on, and he's been starting for 3 years. Led last year's club with 107 tackles. You know, he was playing in the shadow of the other stars. Now this is his year. He wants to be the guy, and he came up with a huge play right there.
People said all the defensive linemen forced all the offensive line attention, thus Bear was free to lead the team in tackles. He's proving that it's on ability also. Excellent student as well, engineering student. 2nd and 25. Wistrom behind him. Could not get to Tracy Wistrom. Speaking of Times Square Stadium in New York, let's visit with John Saunders. John.
Mike here with a Coors Light update alongside Terry Bowden. Want to update a game that has nothing to update. Wisconsin and Virginia supposed to be playing right now, but there is some weather in the area, some thunder showers. They are waiting on this. The start of the game is delayed. Ever happened to you?
Never happened to me, John. At one time I was the head coach at Salem College. The lights went out at second half. Got climbed up the pole, held the lights on for the entire second half.
You had to do it probably. Back to you, Mike.
All right, John. Terry, see at halftime. This is 3rd and 25 for Nebraska. Crouch off the hands of Thomas. A flag is down in the secondary, though. Boy, if this 3rd and 25 ends up a penalty on TCU for pass interference.
You know, and I didn't think the last one they called defensive holding when they had Thomas and grabbed a little bit of cloth. I didn't think it was that bad, and here they get him again.
A personal foul, face mask.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense, 15-yard
the tough
penalty.
part.
And it's a first down.
That's the tough part right there. Oh, wow.
Golly.
Very odd that you see a personal foul face mask on an incomplete pass back in the secondary. So Nebraska keeps it with 1:48 left first half and just a 6-point Cornhusker lead. Nebraska loads it up in the backfield. Different formation here.
Power I.
Oh, and Crouch got hit by Marvin Godbolt. They were trying to break Hasselbrook free down the field, but nobody accounted for the strong safety.
And he was free, but I'll tell you this, Godbolt came through in a safety blitz. This is a terrific call. Here he is, 23, right to the left of your screen. Untouched into Crouch's face.
And Tim, that is the 8th time that TCU has a tackle for a loss in this game.
Now you'll see Nebraska make some adjustments at halftime, obviously, and they know they're getting a lot of pressure on the corner. But Gary Patterson and Drisbach are doing a great job bringing blitzers from different angles and different spots. It's hard to catch them.
2nd and 15. Try the screen pass.
Ball hit the ground. Hit the ground.
It was intended for Thunder Collins.
That was the short hopper. You know, it's fun to watch Frank Solich, the head coach, also call the plays offensively. And it's fun to watch Gary Patterson, the head coach, calling the defenses and coming with the blitzes. So you've got the two head coaches going against each other here in what's really like a chess match. That play right there by Solich was to avoid the pressure and throw behind it, let them run themselves out of the play. And had the pass been there, it would have been a big gainer.
Nebraska needs to get to the TCU 35 for a first down. 3rd and technically 16, and Crouch goes down again.
How about this?
This is unbelievable. John, turn time.
I'm going to tell you again, Nebraska's offensive line, which averages 310 pounds, outweighs TCU's defensive line by almost 50 pounds a man.
Stunned silence in Lincoln, even though they're leading.
They're attacking the corners. They're bringing switches inside. They're playing games. They're bringing blitzes on runs. They're bringing blitzes on passes. It's a great package.
Sophomore Kyle Larson to punt again. Jason Goss back deep. Fair catching at the 18 with just 18 seconds remaining. First half.
Mike, we're talking about the defense and what it's doing. Well, I'm going to tell you, it's wearing and tearing on their quarterback, Eric Crouch. Look at this. He's been hit 14 times, sacked 3 times, and he's feeling it. And pretty soon, when you get hit that hard, that often, and they're coming that quickly, your head's going to be on a swivel. You're going to stop concentrating on the receivers and looking to see where the defenders are coming.
I figure TCU will take a knee, take it to the locker room, and Gary Patterson's going to tell his players, defense, you're getting it done, and this is exactly what they talked about.
Stamina now becomes critical.
Well, they decide to hand it off. Madison turns the corner. Be very careful. He stays in bounds. That will end the half.
That should do it, yeah.
Gary Patterson told his kids all summer, just play for a half. Be around in the 3rd quarter. And let them feel the pressure in the 4th quarter. Half the mission's accomplished.
11 as 1. A total unit. That's what he wants, and they're doing it.
Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic. Halftime score. Nebraska expected by some to win by 28. Leading by just 6. 13-7 as we send it to Times Square Stadium in New York. John Saunders, Terry Bowden. Nebraska leads by 6 as we get set for the 3rd quarter of the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic with Todd Harrison, Tim Brandt, Mike Tirico. Tim, I popped out of the booth at halftime, took a look at a few faces. and define them as bemusement. People don't understand what is going on. They don't know TCU's defense was the best in the nation last year.
Without a doubt, and the thing was, they got off to such a quick start. First 6 plays, they had 70 yards, but the next 20, -5. Take a look at the highlights. We'll show you how they got out of the blocks very, very quickly. And, of course, no surprise, it started with Eric Crouch. Broke containment here, and he rips this off for 33 yards. And you say, well, here goes Nebraska. Look out. But his next 13 carries were from -2, and the defense came on hard. TCU's defense, 9 tackles for losses, 3 sacks, and they kept Nebraska backed up constantly the rest of the half. As a matter of fact, Nebraska had 11 yards in the second quarter. Give TCU a lot of credit. They brought a lot of blitzes. It was 3rd and long for Nebraska the entire time, Mike.
Just be careful, though. Nebraska gets the ball first, and you know the halftime conversation was pretty blunt and honest. The expectations are so high here at Nebraska. Number 4 preseason again this year. Josh Davis is back for the kick return. And as you see, a return game concern is, I guess, earned by the numbers that were not earned on the field last year. Nebraska didn't return it very well.
I've got the feeling, though, listening to Coach Solich as he went off the field at halftime, they're going to come out. They're just going to say, hey, look, straight ahead, no fair dodge. We're going to run it right at you.
Shane Hudnall's kick. Great opening start for Davis. Out of bounds at the 42-yard line. Nebraska needing a little enthusiasm gets it there, Todd Harris.
Well, thank you, Michael. Timmy was right. I talked with Coach Zolich as he went off the half. He says they just need to clean it up, keep it simple, clean it up. He knew TCU's defense was tough. It was no surprise to him. And talking with Coach Patterson, he said the first thing is we didn't come here to lose, so we're going to make a game of it. He just wants better field position. On a sad note, though, Bo Schobel, the defensive end, and the cousin of Matt Schobel could be lost for the season with a knee injury. They'll have to check it out when they get back to Dallas.
All right, Todd, I think this is so unique, Mike. You've got Frank Solich, the head coach, and Gary Patterson, the head coach. Frank's calling the offense, Gary Patterson calling the defense against each other. It's like a chess match.
And it's personal, too. Crouch trying to keep, and the second half starts the way the first half ended. Marvin Godbolt, the freshman from San Antonio. A loss on the play of 8 yards. Here are the first half numbers. And, Tim, what I think is important is time of possession. Nebraska had the ball more than TCU. They ran more plays, yet the yardage is only 22 more in favor of the Cornhuskers.
I still have to say, Mike, I'm shocked when I look at these numbers because there's not much disparity in anything. And the time of possession is big. We said at the beginning that TCU wants to shorten the game. They want to keep Crouch on the sidelines. Well, they did as well as I think anybody could expect.
Officially, 7-yard loss. 2nd and 17. Quick pass by Crouch to Wistrom. 4 yards for Tracy. Grant's younger brother, the senior from Webb City, Missouri, gets to the 39. Last year, when Tracy Wistrom caught the ball, it was a first down almost all 19 times he caught it.
Well, he made the catch here, and he got up to the sticks. Unfortunately, it was the original line of scrimmage. Now, here's the deal. This is what we were just talking about. Every time Nebraska had the football offensively in that second quarter, it was 3rd down and long. They're faced with that again right here, which means Patterson will probably be bringing a blitz of some sort.
Where's it coming from, and how do you beat it? Needing to get to the TCU 48. Crouch fires, and it's dropped. Wilson Thomas had a chance for a first down. Heard Bo Springfield's footsteps, and Nebraska will punt 3 and out with good field position again.
You know, Thomas came into this game with only 1 reception in his career. He's going to kick himself for this one. This ball's got to be caught. Crouch steps up in the pocket. He throws a good pass. It's right there, and Thomas doesn't make the catch. He had the opening. The ball was there. He just didn't finish. He's got to make that catch.
There's a positive out of the first half. It was Kyle Larson. The punter was outstanding. Jason Goss back deep to receive. Beautiful. Look out. He went inside the 10 to catch it again. Return to the 18. 10-yard return. TCU will start with a long field after a 54-yard punt. The net is 43. More college football's opening weekend continuing tomorrow on ABC Sports. Syracuse takes on George Godsey and number 13 Georgia Tech at the Kickoff Classic. Brad Nessler, Bob Greasy, Lynn Swan bring it to you live at 2 Eastern tomorrow on ABC Sports, your home for the Bowl Championship Series. Syracuse has quarterback issues and questions. We'll see who plays. They have Cecil Howard, a freshman they're very excited about, but don't think he will start for Paul Pasqualoni's team tomorrow. Ricky Madison a run. gets up to the 20-yard line. Picks up about 2 yards. It'll be 2nd and 8.
Like this next pass or this next play will certainly be a pass, I would think. If I'm playing defense, I'm thinking they're coming with some kind of play action pass. Here's what we have to watch for up here, and you folks at home. Printer started 4 for 4, then injured his quad. He went 0 for 4 after that. Unable to come down on that leg. We'll see how he is right here.
You saw that they're underway in Madison, Virginia, the early field goal after the 45-minute delay because of lightning in the area in Wisconsin. John and Terry will keep us updated on that game.
There's your play action.
Prentice had no open receiver, so he keeps it, has the first down, and much more.
He's
out
hurt.
of bounds.
He is hurting.
You're right, Tim, as he came down at the 43-yard line and stepped out. Couldn't kick it in that next gear and keep going.
You'd never see Printer step out of bounds like that if he wasn't hurt. And Gary Patterson right now has got to be thinking, hey, you know, that's our bread and butter, but we don't want, he's got to stay in the game. So we don't want to stretch it too much. If you're playing defense, you got to be waiting for the play action there, but Nebraska wasn't. They lost containment. The best thing that could happen to him right here is if the injury's more severe. But for Printers, you got to be saying, you're pulling for this guy. Stay healthy. Stay in the ball game. TCU needs him.
Yep, Quint Ellis threw a great block. They'll work him out of the shotgun now. Pass is incomplete. A hot shot is intended for Richard Evans.
That's 0 for 5 since he injured the leg.
A lot of people said, why come to Lincoln? You're young, new team, new conference in Conference USA. Lots to prove at the end of the season against new opponents in a better caliber conference, to be honest, than the WAC. Why come here? This is why.
How about this? TCU has won 14 of its last 15 regular season games. There's a little bit of a swagger there.
They were 10-2 last year. 3 years before that, they were 1-10. Adrian Medis has nowhere to go as DeJuan Gross caught him. Barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. 3rd and a long 9 coming up. Well, Conference USA is known for its basketball, but Mike Slive, the commissioner, has put together a football league that continues to improve. Louisville got off to an unimpressive but still victorious start on Thursday. East Carolina, considered the co-favorite in that conference. Southern Mississippi was the team that TCU beat, or lost to, I should say, in the Mobile, Alabama Bowl last year. And a few years ago, Southern Miss came in here and gave Nebraska all it could handle.
No slight at the WAC, but it is a step up for TCU.
This is 3rd and long, and the screen is going nowhere. Madison caught it, and then he caught Scott Shanley's number. 4th down. Punt.
Boy, Shanley, the strong side linebacker, just read this thing all the way. He's reading it, he's sliding, he sees his key, and watch him break on the ball perfectly. Never lost his outside leverage, attacked it inside out, made certain of the tackle.
Joey Biasati on for the punt. Little heat. Kick of 42 yards is caught by Craver, who goes down immediately.
Biasati may be the most valuable player of this game.
Chris Peoples, very nice tackle. The punt teams have done fine. Nebraska offense has been shaky. Printers is shaken up. Timeout. The 240th consecutive sellout. Memorial Stadium, Lincoln, Nebraska, watching the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic, and Casey Printers and TCU, along with Terrence Dunbar, do enough on offense to hang around. Nebraska leads by just 6, and the story has been the TCU defense pounding Eric Crouch. Marvin Godbolt with the hit there. It will be 2nd and long. Remember, this TCU program 4 seasons ago was 1-10. They won 10 games last year, and Dennis Franchione, the man who was the architect of the rebuild in Fort Worth, has now moved on. He's the head coach of the Crimson Tide of Alabama. His old defensive coordinator, Gary Patterson, has replaced him. And Coach Franchione joins us live on the phone from Tuscaloosa. Dennis, you have to be very proud of Gary and the rest of the kids, who all of whom you recruited, the show they're putting on here this afternoon.
Well, I really am. I knew they would play great on defense, and if they get that young offense going, I think they'll be in great shape.
You know, Coach Fran, so many people said that TCU lost so many players that this would be a rebuilding year, but it looks like they've kept that tradition, and certainly the scheme and the game plan has just been phenomenal today.
Well, I knew Gary put them in good position, and they have good young players. We had experienced players last year. We knew we'd be more youthful this year, and Gary's done a great job with them.
Nebraska has taken a timeout. Dennis, we talk about the turnaround from 1-10 to a 10-1 regular season in 3 years and 3 consecutive bowl games. When you look back at the turnaround point for this program, was it the Sun Bowl victory against Southern California a few years ago?
Well, I think that was a game that gave us a quantum leap. We certainly went from 1-10 to 6-5 in that season, and then that game right there, I think, gave us instant credibility.
Dennis, before we let you go, we have to ask you about your team at Alabama. You step into one of the brightest spotlights in all of college football, head coach at Alabama. How has the transition gone, and how has the preparation gone for UCLA next week?
Well, the transition's been great. The people have been super to us here. We're excited and looking forward to the first game. We have great fans here. They love football, and they're very passionate about Crimson Tide football, and we're anxious to get to that UCLA game.
Well, Dennis, enjoy watching a little bit of this game before you work out at Bryant-Denny Stadium today, and best of luck. We'll see you along the way.
Great job, Dennis.
All right, thank you, guys.
There's a guy that turned every program around he's been in, and certainly did it at TCU.
Second and long, Crouch, big ball. Thomas broke free, but he's overthrown and incomplete.
Mike, you talk about Dennis Franchione, and you think about TCU from 1985 to 97, he had just 3 winning seasons. He comes in, turns it around, goes 25-11, 10-2 you mentioned last year, pair of WAC titles. Now he goes down to Alabama, and the people down in Tuscaloosa are just completely fired up and ready for him to do the same there.
And Gary Patterson ran the defense. Dennis kind of let Gary run the show on the defensive side of the ball. And you talk about the third quarter, after halftime, when you make adjustments and see what the other guys are doing. Did you see that number? They allowed 3 points all last season in the third quarter.
And that tradition continues. Crouch's last 5 rushes are all for losses, -27.
Beating him up again. This time they try to beat him with a screen. Thunder Collins to the 22. He's short of the first down. It's a great play by John Turntine, the lineman who chased all the way across the field because there were not many white shirts waiting defensively. Turntine's hustle forces another Nebraska 3-and-out.
And I'll tell you this, Michael, that's what makes this defense is the pursuit. They're not going to overpower anybody. They aren't big. You heard Keith at halftime, Keith Jackson saying big fast guys beat little fast guys all the time. But right now, TCU being the little team and being very fast, they're doing it with pursuit. 11 guys trying to act as one, and I mean, they're getting after it.
New punt returner Kevin Brown awaiting Kyle Larson's kick. Another 50-yard plus kick. Elusive first move. Brown is down at the 29. DeJuan Gross made the play. TCU ball at its own 30, within 6. Midway stages, third quarter. Well, we talked with Dennis Franchione about hot spots and spotlights in college football that are glaring. And there's one here as head coach at Nebraska, Frank Solich. His team number 4 in the preseason polls. Expected to win big most of the time. Leading TCU by just 6. Casey Prentice slipped and fell and went down as the pressure was coming. Justin Smith, the junior from Sherman, Texas, made the play.
All right, let's talk about that win big thing for a chance, or for a change. Here at Nebraska, of course, that's always big with the fans. And you look at the last time they lost with the mid-80s on an opener. That was Florida State. And they've averaged a score of 56-14 on opening day. So you say, all right, where's the big score? Now you think about the national championship and the way they've restructured things. A quality win factor has been added. And now a team's margin of victory is less important, so they don't have to win as big.
Good point, Tim. The wrinkle in the BCS that John and Terry talked about at the very top of the show. Fritters runs some option to get it in the hands of LaTerrence Dunbar. So Dunbar lines up in the backfield there. Gets it out to the 26-yard line, but still a long way to go.
But with all that said, they still have to win. And right now, TCU's got them on the ropes a little bit.
Look at that sea of red here in Memorial Stadium.
How about that number, Mike? 81-3 in Memorial Stadium the last 13 years. Incredible.
That's why there's bemusement on the faces of fans and anxious noise that they've been making when Nebraska's had the ball on offense. Needing to get to the 40. Prentice got out of some trouble. No receivers are open, and he does not have the wheels to get away from Mark Vedro because of the injury. Now, Mark's a pretty good player in his own right. I don't mean to discredit his speed and ability. The black shirts are getting it done, and the fans know it.
But with that said, I think Gary Patterson has to be happy with the fact that Printers was very patient. He waited in the pocket as long as he could. Then he got out. Now here he's worried about the quad. He doesn't have the quicks he normally has, so Vidra comes in and makes the stop. Everybody was covered. He had nowhere to throw it, and then he wasn't quick enough to make the first.
Lasati gets it away quick again. Another high kick. Good hang time. It is Keo Craver. Ball came free, and TCU has it at the 35. I think it might be Chad Bear at the bottom of the pile. The linebacker recovered.
Forget who comes up with it. It is Bear, but the guy who was making that play, again, was Terrence Dunbar, number 3. They had great coverage on the punt. Good hang time. Now, watch his knee and see if he's down, but here comes, there's Owens first. Owens misses him. Now, here comes number 3. Actually, the ball was knocked loose. Wasn't Dunbar.
Kind of pinballed into Willie Amos.
Amos got him, and then Chad Bear did come in, was very alert. Don't forget him. He made a big play.
Juwan Gross helped off after the second Nebraska turnover. I go back to the first half when I said Frank Solich just put such an emphasis on special teams because they were so poor in the return game last year. And here a crucial turnover and a golden opportunity for TCU at the Nebraska 35. Play pass. Printers elusive. Flag is down. Pass is incomplete for Madison.
Expect a lot of flags on opening day, but this is too many. Get a scrambling quarterback. Offensive linemen are trying to keep the defense off of him.
Talk about scrambling. The elusiveness of Printers led to the only touchdown of the game. As he reverse field, Tim, you pointed out the blocking was so good to give him time to find Matt Schobel, the senior, who went all the way for the touchdown. But Schobel left with an injured hamstring. And his cousin Bo on the defensive line hurt his knee and is out for the game, if not longer.
See the total yards. TCU right there with Nebraska.
Even though a big chunk came on that one play, it's still the Nebraska number that's eye-opening. 40 minutes into the game. 1st and 20. Printers gets about 8 of it back to Adrian Medice, the junior from Mid-Georgia Junior College. Talk about a surprise under your Christmas tree as TCU was looking for wide receivers to fill in for their lost players. In comes Adrian Medice, who spent last season at Middle Georgia Junior College. They ran it a whole bunch. Medice caught a grand total of 5 passes last year, 4 of them for a touchdown, and he averaged 38 yards a catch.
Had a terrific spring and or summer ball, and they're really high on him. I'll tell you what's surprising to me, though, Mike, is the fact that Terrence Dunbar hadn't gotten more involved. He's got 1 catch for -2 yards and 1 run for 5. And remember, coming in, they wanted him to touch it at least 15 times.
This is 2nd down for TCU.
Dunbar's at the top of your screen, locked on man-to-man.
They try to run towards the left side with Ricky Madison. Chris Kelsey made the tackle. 3rd and 10, TCU. Their other focus was for the Horned Frogs replacing LaDainian Tomlinson. 4,000 yards the last 2 years, led the country in rushing. Ricky Madison has been the back for most every series but one today.
Well, Madison's comment was pretty interesting last week. He says he's not trying to replace Tomlinson. He just wants to be the best Ricky Madison he can be.
Very wise, very honest, too.
There's Dunbar.
Printers looking the other way. His receiver fell down. It was Medice locked in coverage with Craver. And despite getting the ball at the 35, Nebraska's defense comes up big. Let's see what kind of a decision Patterson will make here. Field goal would be 53 yards.
They're not even looking Dunbar's way. Here he's locked on with Ricketts, and he's wide open on the outside, and they're not even looking at him.
Watch him coming off the field too, Tim.
He's frustrated, and you know, you can understand that because he is the guy. He's the man that's the big play guy, and they aren't even thinking about him.
Punter comes on. TCU will play the field position game. See if Joey Biasotti can pin him inside the 20. Did it 8 of his punts last year. Dunbar's down there, stopped it, and they do a perfect job of pinning Nebraska in.
They got Dunbar involved that way.
I don't think those were the touches they had in mind.
It's a good one.
It works out fine. It gives the Huskers a long field to go when you come back. At Todd Harris, Nebraska starts from its own 1. Leading by 6. And nothing going as Crouch gives to the fullback, Judd Davies. Just some operating room, Tim.
This defense is just not backing away. And if you look at the last 6 possessions for Nebraska, you'll see the success that TCU has had against them. Made them punt 5 times. They got the interception that one time by Goss. And I mean, it's just as good as TCU could have ever hoped coming into this ball game. You know, right there on campus, in the stadium, in Carter Stadium, they all touch a sign, a Dutch Meyer quote, that says, fight them till hell freezes over, then fight them on the ice. And right now, TCU's doing it.
2nd and 8 from its own 3. Crouched in the air. That's just a couple of yards. Not going anywhere. John Gibson with the catch.
Mike, you look at TCU. They've had 105 years of football. But for the Horned Frogs, I cannot believe they've ever had a tougher opener than Nebraska in Lincoln. And everybody has to be impressed that follows TCU. They have not backed down at all. Found themselves down 7-0, and it looked bad. 6 plays and a quick score by Nebraska. And they came right back and scored, and they're hanging tough.
The Horned Frogs. They're getting beat up, though. Kenneth Hilliard, the free safety out of Kimball High School in Dallas, just came off the field after making that play. He's shaken up. 3rd and 6 is coming up for Nebraska.
This is the best 3rd down situation they've had. Only 6 to go for the first in a long time.
Crouch option. Good ball fake. First down. Their best weapon. Crouch keeping.
Outnumbered them on the corner. Owens had to make a decision, pitch man or quarterback. I think in that situation I'd take Crouch, but he went wide. You see number 4 Sanders took the pitch man. Crouch just cut it up underneath for the first. Look at this.
They were best in the country last year, running yards per game. Not even close to sniffing it today. With 3:44 left, 3rd quarter. Nebraska still leads. We don't make it to sound like they're trailing it again. And he is on Crouch one more time. He delivers to Galladay. And the big load is knocked out of bounds at the 16-yard line.
Big load is exactly right. 6'4", 290 pounds. He's a junior. Boy, Galladay's hard to bring down, too, if you can get him the football.
Reminder, Monday night ABC Sports, south of the border in Mexico City. The Dallas Cowboys and Oakland Raiders meet in the American Bowl. Monday Night Football live at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Our final preseason game on ABC is the Monday Night Football season will kick off 1 week after Labor Day. No Labor Day start for the NFL this season. September 10, the opener with the Giants in Dallas. Crouch toss. Thunder Collins, huge hole, but it's tripped up by Jason Hyam. At the last second, the senior may have saved 6.
Without a doubt, he was the last line of defense. If he doesn't make that shoestring tackle, Thunder Collins is gone. Watch how this hole opens up. Kick out. There's Charlie Owens, gets caught. There's the block on Owens. There's the last man between the 20 and the goal line. Boy, not much, though. He just barely got him and just flipped that left leg just enough to take Collins down.
And Jason,
great save.
Jason, who made the tackle, Tim, he's only in the game because of Kenneth Hilliard's injury just a few plays ago.
He's an experienced guy, though. He's been around 5 years.
Collins is met at the point of attack by LaMarcus McDonald again. I am really impressed with the TCU linebackers. They have been solid here this afternoon.
Well, this scheme also helps the linebackers. It funnels everything into them. Keep in mind, we talked about the 5 defensive backs, and they bring most of the pressure from the edge. They're blitzing a lot, and they put the pressure on the corners, which leaves Bear and McDonald, those linebackers in the middle. Everything's funneled back to them.
No gain on the play. 2nd and 10, Nebraska. 3 receivers for the Cornhuskers. Option look with Crouch and Collins, and Eric Crouch has a lot of room to run. Eric Crouch cutting back is dangerous. To the 32-yard line. second big run of the day for Crouch.
You talked about Jason Hyam making that shoestring touchdown-saving tackle, and that he probably shouldn't be in the ball game. Here he misses the tackle, and he does it on an All-American. Watch 16 right here, kind of dives at him, loses his feet, weak effort. And then the All-American Crouch, he just takes it midfield. Here I thought he was going to try to outrun him, but then he tried to bullet over. Here's the option again, full speed. Here comes the tackle or attempt by Hyam. He misses, and then Crouch, you give him some room. He's a lot faster than people think he is. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. He looks thick, but he's also quick.
That was 42 yards after a 33-yard run earlier. Collins left. Is held up. It's McDonald again in on the tackle.
Mike, since the very first drive of the game by Nebraska, this is about as well as they've moved the football.
Yes.
Again, a couple of big plays, but also if you look at the offensive line with Volk and Fonety and Garrison and Rutherford and Waldrop, those guys now are starting to control that line of scrimmage and push those white shirts off.
TCU's just brought in number 20, Chris Peoples, in for Jason Hyam. Try to put somebody at that free safety spot.
TCU,
the option.
We've said TCU is small. They move, they stem, they try to penetrate. You can't take Nebraska on head on, or they'll drive you to Omaha.
Crouch keeping again, this time when he cut it up inside. Richard Evans was there to meet him. Third down, and a couple coming up as we move inside of a minute, third quarter. No scoring here in the third. Nebraska scored on its opening possession. TCU responded with a long touchdown pass to Matt Schobel. The good Nebraska drive ended with a Crouch keeper. They missed the extra point, and it has stayed that way ever since.
You've got the feeling that this next play, third down here for TCU, is the key play of the ball game.
So far.
If they don't stop them here, you got the feeling that the floodgates are going to open.
Needing to get to the 22. Thunder Collins got a block from Davies. Has a first down. And has a touchdown. Nebraska will go for two.
Great pitch, great block. Hyam gets cut off again. Nice block on the corner. Touchdown. Made it look easy. Judd Davies, number 4, with a key block on Hyam. And Collins just kind of danced in.
Nebraska has a lot of confusion here. They're going to have to burn a timeout while thinking about going for a two-point conversion because of the confusion. So it's 19-7. A two-point conversion attempt is coming up for Nebraska here with 25 seconds left. Third quarter, and a chance to remind you of what's coming up on ABC. That's coming up this fall on ABC, as well as some great college football for the next 15 Saturdays. Nebraska with a great drive, 98.5 yards. After the punt backed them up to their own one. Thunder Collins, the I-back, getting the start for the suspended Darren Diedrich. Takes it the distance, but Crouch's big 40-plus yard run really flipped the field. Little League World Series presented by Honda coming up next. The U.S. Championship, and then tomorrow night in prime time, 6:30 Eastern, the championship game, the World Championship game from Williamsport.
Bad snap prevented Nebraska from getting the extra point earlier, so they go for two here.
Deontay Grigsby is the I-back. On the option, Grigsby fell down. Crouch stayed on his feet and got in.
Boy, I tell you, this is some power. And again, once he gets to the corner, the last shot, and I don't want to keep picking on Hyam, 16, but you can't leave your feet when you try to tackle a guy like Crouch. And when he gets down to the goal line, you cancan't dive at him. You got to drive through him.
So Nebraska takes a 21-7 lead. It's the first of 4 consecutive home games for Nebraska, and you'll see another one of them coming up on ABC. A terrific slate to start the season. Tomorrow's kickoff classic we've talked about. 6 games on 1 week from today on Saturday. There you see some of the highlights of that, including Miami, Penn State. And then in 2 weeks, another triple header, North Carolina at Texas. The Wolverines head to the Great Northwest to take on Washington. And then right back here in Memorial Stadium, the Fighting Irish come in to take on the Cornhuskers.
Looking down the road, you're talking about Notre Dame again. We'll say Nebraska has 8 home games this year, 8, including games with Nebraska, Kansas State, and Oklahoma, all here at Memorial Stadium. The toughest thing about the Cornhuskers' drive to the national championship is the fact that they've got to play 13 games when you figure in the conference championship game, and then the 14th would be at the Rose Bowl for the national title, which is to their disadvantage when you think of teams like Miami and Florida State playing in weaker conferences where they don't have a championship game.
Smaller conferences also in size.
Sure.
Where they will not have to go through that extra step. The Big 12 title game this year is at Texas Stadium in Irving. Much like last year, that title game, that first weekend of December, could have weather as a factor in it. 21-7 now, the Nebraska leads. Sandro DeAngelis kicking off. Line drive that is fielded by Corey Connolly, the backup tailback, who gets it across the 20, and a flag comes down as he's pulled down at the 23.
Boy, if we had penalties, it's been like Flag Day in Lincoln.
TCU will have the long field to go. Well, we mentioned Notre Dame, Nebraska. Last year in South Bend, some of the problems that Nebraska would have as a kick coverage team. 2 kick returns for touchdown. 1 a kickoff, and then the Joey Getherall punt return. Take it to overtime after Notre Dame kicked a field goal. Eric Crouch capped off a 5-play drive with that game-winning touchdown. No extra point needed. Nebraska 27, Notre Dame 24. And now the defense supported by the fans. Printer's option. I guess a whistle. Yes, a whistle was blown. A flag came down before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Wheels are starting to come off. Fatigue is a factor. They've been in a physical ball game. Guys are getting hurt. TCU now 9 penalties, 61 yards.
And you can see Gary Patterson telling his players, just calm down, boys, calm down.
This should be the last play of the period. And another flag
comes down as Madison runs. Just got past the original line of scrimmage. Or the line of scrimmage, I should say.
Going the wrong way.
Illegal formation on the offense. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. The penalty is declined. 2nd down.
Small, silly stuff. 2nd and 15 coming up. Clock runs. Quarter will end. Well, Nebraska is taking the TCU punch. They're hanging around and finally wore them down with a 98-yard drive for touchdown. The Cornhuskers regain a little bit of a mental toehold, and they lead 21-7 after 3. ABC Sports presentation of the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic will return after this message and a word from your ABC station. With Tim Brandt, Todd Harris, Mike Tirico, 77,000 plus, letting their lungs out. They sense it again. Nebraska coming off a 98-yard touchdown drive has TCU's 2nd and long. Printers fires complete for the first down and more. Adrian Medise with a huge play all the way out to the 38-yard line.
You know, you have to be impressed with Casey Printers. The guy's been injured since the first quarter. He keeps hanging around. You know, that one that he broke outside where he finally had to step out of bounds, had he been healthy, you know he would have taken it to the end zone. But watch him here with a lot of pressure, stays in the pocket. He's confident. He's focused on his receiver, steps up and fires a bullet. Look at the velocity he puts on it. A little bit behind, but a well-thrown ball. McGeese makes the catch, and that's a huge first down for TCU.
That was on Keo Craver, Nebraska's best cover man. Bobbles the shotgun snap. Incomplete for LaTerrence Dunbar. To Times Square Stadium in New York, and John Saunders.
Well, Mike, here on the Coors Light update, as we told you, Virginia-Wisconsin was delayed that start because of some thunder and lightning in the area. Jerome Pettis has a touchdown run of 16 yards, and Wisconsin now has a 7-3 lead. Mike, back to you.
Okay, John, the Badgers, as they factor into the very muddled Big Ten picture. A lot of questions in the Big Ten.
And the Virginia Cavaliers rebuilding. Algo, the new coach down there.
Very rare that you see a guy go from the NFL to college the next year. But Groh has done that at Virginia. Printers tried to hot one in there. It was incomplete. Shane Hudnall was the intended receiver. LaTerrence Dunbar limped off while we were away, so we'll keep an eye on him.
A healthy Printers would have run that ball.
You're right.
He's not running, and that's hurting him.
Tim, coming up later, the Chevrolet Player of the Game will be selected from each school. 31st year, Chevrolet's involvement in that program with us here at ABC. A pleasure to have them back on board this year. Oh, they picked up the last key down situation. This one is 3rd and 10. They need to get to the 48. And the pass was deflected. Good push, and Vedral knocked it away.
Vedra's 6'1", 210. He looked like a basketball player that time. Jumped into the line of fire. Thinks he's got a line to throw the ball. Look at Vedra get up.
That's nice. That's a big play,
That's athletic, isn't it?
Yes. Because Dunbar made a nice move inside his man. Would have had a chance to get the first downs.
That weak linebacker spot is the key playmaking position in Nebraska's 4-3 defense, and he sure made one there.
Joey Biasotti to kick now, and Ben Cornelsen is back deep to receive. They almost blocked the kick. See if Cornelsen can turn around the return fortunes for Nebraska. He's tackled at the 27-yard line. The punt was 46 yards. The return was 11. Nebraska with the ball and a 14-point lead. Opening minute, final quarter of the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic. We're going to be a force to be reckoned with, not on the regular season Nebraska schedule. Oklahoma will come here on the 27th of October.
Talking about Eric Crouch for the Heisman. Certainly Chris Sims is being on everybody's list as well, being mentioned by everybody.
3 yards for Crouch, who was essentially the running back on that play. So many designed Nebraska plays run just for Crouch. Here, Tim, the coach's top 10 ESPN USA Today poll.
Sure, and you're talking about this conference, and you look here, and of course you see Oklahoma, Nebraska, Texas. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that game in Dallas, the championship game in this conference.
So, although not in the top 10, nobody's brushing aside Kansas State as an easy game, or Colorado. Certainly those are the teams talked about in the title picture.
But how about this? Since the formation of the Big 12 Conference, Mike, in 1996, the winner of the title game has gone on to earn at least a share of the national title on 2 occasions. That's pretty impressive.
Considering you have to go the extra game as well. The 1st and 10 line is presented by Chevy.
Of course, if Texas gets to that title game this year, it'll be like a home game for them in Dallas.
In Irving. Just going to have a reset issue with the play clock here as the Cornhuskers face another 3rd down. But the 3rd downs in this half, Tim, Frank Solich's team hasn't had 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. But this is not an offense built for 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12.
No, we were talking to the coaches, and they said if we get in those situations, you know we're really struggling, and they have all afternoon.
Get to Crouch again. I've got to tell you, I'm watching LaMarcus McDonald the rest of the year, and so will the TCU opponents. That is the 4th tackle for loss for double 4 out of Waco.
LaMarcus McDonald, Chad Bear, even Devin Davis. All three linebackers have had great penetration all day long. Watch 44 here. Comes through. They don't even pick him up. They overload, they stem, they shoot the gaps. He comes through untouched and gets right to Crouch. Still, it takes a lot of athletic ability from a guy 6'1", 217 to not only chase him down, but then throw him to the ground with that strength that he has.
Reserve receiver Terran Williams is now back deep. Short snap, and McDonald almost got in there to block the kick. But another outstanding kick by Larson. The flag is on Nebraska for violating the 2-yard bubble.
Definite encroachment into that halo. He's got to give him that area to catch the ball freely, and he was in there.
Yep, Clifford Bry was not giving the punt catcher enough space.
Opportunity to catch the kick on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Mike, we're talking about Crouch and Sims for the Heisman. You have to believe that they're right up there in that list, depending on how their teams do throughout the year.
No question. KC Printers and TCU will take over at their own 28. A lot of heat on Craig Bohl, the defensive coordinator for Nebraska, around here because of the performance last year. But, boy, his defense has been great today. 11 possessions, 1 touchdown given up, 1 fumble caused, 9 punts. They've only given up 181 yards. Very solid.
Hard to live up to the standards set by Charlie McBride and those great Nebraska defenses over the years.
Printers to Dunbar. LaTerrence takes it to the 35. Pickup of about 6.5. Charlie McBride was here for almost a quarter century as the defensive coordinator and was a father figure, a defensive genius and guru, and plays some of the same role that he did to the players to Craig Bohl now.
I was just going to say what's interesting is when we were talking to Craig Bohl, we asked him if he stays in contact with Charlie. And he says Charlie sends him notes, they talk. And when he did that, he got very emotional. Actually got tears in his eyes. Loves Charlie McBride.
Second and a long 3. Ricky Madison trying to outrun the black shirts. Barrett Rude caught him. A flag came in. Perhaps a face mask will give TCU the first down. You see the Wisconsin advantage, just 7 on Virginia, middle of the second quarter. No, it's a penalty on TCU. Very excited to hang around and watch that Little League World Series, the American title. Brent Musburger, Oral Hershiser, Harold Reynolds, Leslie Goodell are standing by in Williamsport. See those baby Bronx Bombers that have not just the folks in the Bronx and New York, but everybody paying attention, including all the big leaguers.
I've got to tell you something. 10-yard penalty from the end of the play. Repeat, second down.
First of all, the park up there at Williamsport is just gorgeous.
The best. Yeah.
And you have to love the Little League World Series. I mean, I still remember and think fondly of the days when I was playing Little League. We made it to York to the regionals on our way to Williamsport.
You got close.
Yeah,
really?
absolutely.
Wow.
Lost to New York or somebody. But I mean, what a great thing that is for the 12-year-olds.
Apopka, Florida, the opponent for the team from the Bronx, New York. It comes up as soon as we're done here in Lincoln. Printers and Dunbar able to hook up. And they are just a yard short of the first down. It will be 3rd and short coming up despite the penalty.
How about this for a matchup? You've got Dunbar, who's the best receiver for TCU, and Craver, of course. Everybody's talking about him for All-American and Jim Thorpe Award candidate. This is a great matchup. Gets a little separation. The ball's perfectly thrown. I'm surprised, and I've said this several times, that they have not gone to Dunbar earlier and more often.
Great track guy, and Tim, you can see he's not only thinking about getting to the NFL, but dancing in the end zone in the NFL.
He'll have his chance. You can take that to the bank.
Printers on the keeper. He'll get across the line and have a first down for TCU, but there is yet another penalty marker down. Timmy, finish your thought on Dunbar and what you like about him.
Well, first of all, you saw the graphic there. You know, he's a track star, and the guy excels in the 60-meter high hurdles and a 110 and a 4x4, but
5-yard penalty.
The thing that he gives this ball club, Mike, is the fact that even when they're not throwing to him, he's accountable. You have to account for him defensively because of his speed and his elusiveness. So even when they weren't using him, they're going to backside. But Nebraska had to have his attention. They had to account for him, and that helps the offense in other ways, even when he's not getting it.
And he and Printers lived across the street from each other this summer. And Casey told us yesterday, 5 in the morning, LaTerrence would knock if he wasn't up. Time to work out. Let's get going. Printers has to get going because there was no one open and the rush was coming. and he gained 5 yards out to the 48. TCU has not hacked it in.
No, and time is still a factor now, and Printers is well aware of that. You can see the urgency. He's getting guys in and out. He's calling the plays quickly. Still has 9.5 minutes or more to play. And you're right. He's trying to get some points on the board, get back in this ball game.
Gary Patterson just went over to Dunbar, who came off the field. They're trying to spot Dunbar, keep him as healthy as possible. He was shaken up. He hasn't been returning kicks the last couple of punts. Slow developing plays, and the Nebraska Black Shirts usually don't go very well together. Ask Ricky Madison.
No, and that's a time eater, too.
Kelsey and Clanton met at the running back.
Mike, they had spread the attack. They thought they'd spread the defense thin, put the wide receivers all the way across the field with the numbers, and then they thought they'd go with the quick opener inside, almost like a draw, and Nebraska wasn't fooled.
Mike Schultz is calling plays for TCU. He's now the offensive coordinator. Shared the duties last year. Mike concentrated on the running game, but this year he is the full offensive coordinator.
There's Dunbar right there, Mike.
They need to get to the Nebraska 47. Printers is going down. Des Moines Adams, the junior from Arkansas.
I tell you what, that's a coverage sack right there. That's a coverage tackle because he was looking for Dunbar. Dunbar was covered. And the longer he waited, the closer Nebraska got. With the pursuit, they took him down. And Printers are slow getting up. Here he comes from the backside. He's looking for Dunbar. He's still covered. Boy, that's great pursuit from a big guy coming from behind. But watch number 3 here. Boom. Now release him. Give him to the next guy. There's your safety. Give him to the next guy. After he cleared, Printers was already down.
No chance to throw it. Low snap, but Biasotti makes a nice catch and a good kick to Cornelson. Ben Cornelson, the junior, with a flag down. Moved to the 40-yard line. I should say 3 flags.
4 flags.
Got a 4th. Yeah, there it is.
Look at this. The cuatro.
Somebody said mustard on the lettuce, yellow on the green field. This is field turf here, not AstroTurf. It's been here for 3 years, and it's a very good alternative to AstroTurf.
It's got a great feel to it, and even in the heavy rain, it continues to be a good grip.
69% of Division 1A teams on grass fields now.
4 penalties during the return.
Oh, gosh.
3 blocks in the back and 1 holding.
There are 4 different penalties.
That's a new one.
3 blocks in the back and a holding. This is the turf we're talking about, and it's a lot less abrasive than the old artificial surface we used to play on.
No, that was a very good explanation there, Tim, from Dennis Hennigan, the official, Big East officials working this game.
10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Explanations from officials are on the conscience because that's a focus for the NFL this year, and the NFL officials perhaps with a work stoppage coming up in the next week or so. But many of those college officials are going to stay right with their game. Their conference commissioners are doing the best they can to keep these officials working these games. Great weekend here on ABC Sports. You have the Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic, the Kickoff Classic with Georgia Tech and Syracuse tomorrow, and both the American and then the World Championship game of the Little League World Series presented by Honda in Williamsport. Here in Lincoln, Nebraska has been tested by TCU, but leads 21-7. Eric Crouch going to go to the air for Wistrom. The big tight end to the 44-yard line. Jason Goss pushed him out.
Dragged him all the way across the field, and he got lost. The free safety, Hilliard, never found him. Boy, Crouch was cool on that play. Just sat and waited and let him clear. That's always a tough play to defend. I don't care who runs it. Penn State used to make a living on that play where they take the tight end and drag him all the way across the field, and he just gets lost.
Well, it's so good, again, with a team that runs option. When you run option football and you get caught up in those assignments.
Without a doubt.
You get suckered into the block from the tight end, and all of a sudden he's 10 yards behind you, and you're chasing.
You're that kind of guy.
Crouch gains about 3. Charlie Owens.
Ball carried by Crouch.
Part of the tackling group. Along with Richard Evans, sophomore at Duncanville High School in Dallas. Well, we mentioned September 10th, the season premiere of ABC's Monday Night Football. Invesco Field, Mile High in Denver. Whatever the name, the place is beautiful. It opens up this weekend, and the NFC champion Giants will take on the Denver Broncos. September 10th, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. The season premiere of ABC's Monday Night Football. So
Eric's done it.
Yep.
Become the all-time offensive leader.
Just a yard or so for Thunder Collins. Passed a pretty good name on the list, didn't he?
Well, you know what? Tommy Frazier had such a career here. You'd think, well, this guy ran it all the time. There's no way they'd catch him. He had 5,476 yards. And then here comes Crouch. You don't think about him running it as much because he's got a strong arm and he's an outstanding passer, but 54.93. That's a lot of numbers.
Well, Eric Crouch runs during his career. Look at that cute guy. Wearing his red, as everyone else is, it seems here.
A former Husker. I mean, a future Husker. Former.
Yeah. Eric runs it 14 times a game in his career, Tim. That's a beating your quarterback's going to take, but boy, is he productive. 22 times he's carried today, making 23. And he's hogtied by Kenneth Hilliard at the 49.
Part of that, though, Mike, is they haven't had the dominating tailback. Even when they had Buckhalter and Alexander last year, they weren't like Lawrence Phillips or Mike Rozier. I mean, they weren't the kind of guys you'd give the ball to 35, 40 times and just let them pound constantly with that Nebraska power football. But if they can find an I-back, and they've got some young talent here. I mean, Thunder Collins is a junior, but you look behind him and you've got Josh Davis, you've got Grigsby's a sophomore. Those are young guys that they can develop into that type of tailback that they want, and Diedrich will be back.
4th down, so another punt for Kyle Larson. As busy as a Nebraska punter usually is in a game. Jason Goss has learned his lesson here in Lincoln today. If I'm at the 10 and the ball's over my head, I'm running forward. Touchback, it'll be taken at the 20. 2001 Principal Financial Group Pigskin Classic here on ABC. Brought to you this afternoon by the Principal Financial Group. We understand what you're working for. Pepsi One, the first 1-calorie cola that tastes more like a regular. Pepsi One, the one's just right. Chevy trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. And Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. What a fabulous setting this is. Tom Osborne Field, Memorial Stadium. Incomplete, a hot shot over the middle. Intended for Shane Hudnall. Do they have to change it to Congressman Representative Tom Osborne Field at Memorial Stadium? Now with Tom representing Nebraska in the United States House of Representatives. Our thrifty car rental post-game report, time permitting, with John and Terry back at Times Square Stadium in New York, comes up when we're done. And remember, after that, the Bronx, New York takes on Apopka, Florida in the U.S. title game with the Little League World Series. No room to run for Ricky Madison. How many times have I said that today?
Casey Brenner showing a little bit of frustration now, too, putting his hands up in the air saying, what was that? We need to throw. Let's not run. Getting the calls from the sidelines. Just under 6 minutes to play now. He knows he needs 2 scores. You would think in the real world you still have time to do it if you can come up with some big plays.
I like the way you said that. In the real world, not in Lincoln against the black shirts.
You can't forget that you're in Lincoln.
But this will be a memorable trip for this TCU program if they can manage this last 5.5 minutes. They have not embarrassed themselves at all. Brenner's put it up. Dunbar went up to get it, and Craver knocked it away.
That's a big-time defensive play because that catch was just about made. He was pulling it in when it was knocked away. Going into this, TCU just 1 of 11 on 3rd down conversions. This will make 1 of 12. I thought they had it. Ball's in his hands and then just knocked away at the last second, and he couldn't pull it in.
That's the effect of the day-long pounding that he's taken. Biasati's kick is not his best of the day. On the hop, Cornelson must field it and is immediately brought to the ground by Chris Peoples, who's made 3 special teams tackles here this afternoon. Well, Nebraska's lead is 21-7. Those of you just joining us, here's how it happened. Opening drive, Thunder Collins, the I-back off the option, walked it in. Then Casey Printers made something happen. as he scrambled and got free long enough to find Max Schobel for the touchdown that tied the game at 7. They move down the field, and Thunder Collins on the run here in the third to make it 21-7 after an Eric Crouch second quarter score made it 13-7.
Thunder Collins, All-American in junior college at East LA, had only 13 carries last year, played behind Alexander and Buckhalter. He has skills, and he has excellent hands, Mike. We haven't seen those very much today. They haven't thrown to him, but he's got excellent hands. The coaches like that. But they say he's not built to carry the ball 30 times. He's built more like a wide receiver, so he's not going to be able to stay in there and go 30 times with the ball. So they bring in Grigsby now, who's a hide-and-seek guy. He's only 5'8", 5'9", hides behind those big guys and seeks a hole and then explodes.
Yeah, much more of a power back. John Turntine, who made a big play earlier in this half, is shaken up for TCU, and he went down in a heap.
Thunder Collins, though, pretty good day. 14 carries, 71 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not bad, huh?
If you weren't with us earlier, Tim told you Thunder is his real first name.
Yeah, his dad's named Thunder. Thunder Sr.
Well, they continue to look at Turntine on the field, so as they check the injured TCU defensive tackle, will step out for a minute here in Lincoln. Nebraska leads by 14. Well, the big crowd here in Lincoln has gone very silent as John Turntine, the defensive tackle, the junior from Everman, Texas, has been injured, and they're trying to hold his neck and keep it immobilized as much as possible, and they've brought out some equipment to take him off the field, and that's the Horned Frogs symbol that the players and a lot of the alums make. And the players showing support for Turntine as he is being tended to not just by TCU but by Nebraska medical personnel as well. Turntine was in on the play and just got twisted around.
The good thing, Mike, at the end of the play is he tried to stand and he had mobility in his hands and his legs, and then went back down, I think, through the pain and the fear. But
really not much you can see of the play there. You see
49, yeah, parallel with the stripe. Now watch, he tried to get up here.
You can almost see that he couldn't get to his feet and then went back down, and the medical staff had come on right away. And all of the Nebraska players on offense have come over to their sideline, and they look on with concern as well. And immediately the Nebraska folks are out there to add any of their medical help as well. Todd Harris, you're down on the field.
Well, Michael, I was right across, and I saw the same thing you and Timmy did. He recoiled and tried to stand up, but it looked like he's passed out. And right now they initially brought out some smelling salt trying to get him back, but now that the medical staff are around him, I can't see, but initially it looked like he was out cold.
Okay, Todd, one of the great changes in the last 10 or 15 years has been how much care given to players immediately.
The speed, absolutely.
Yep. And the concern of let's make sure that we don't move the player too much. Get his neck immobilized immediately.
If he was out, hopefully they got him conscious again.
We saw this scene too often last year. Think of Adam Taliaferro at Penn State. Comes to mind.
By the way, Taliaferro has a new book out that is just terrific. But you're right, he went through this experience, and obviously you hope it's not that serious.
And there's nothing that you can say except look at the expression of the players who battle each other for 3.5 hours, but understand that they are all in this together, no matter what uniform or helmet they're wearing.
Medical staff got to him quickly and obviously with great care. They're trying to get him now to from the ground to the stretcher.
There's already a stretcher out there. They brought another one from another ambulance that's nearby at all stadiums. There are multiple ambulances standing by to get the players immediately to a hospital. Gary Patterson went out there right away to check on his player as well.
I'm going to say this, too. This crowd is spectacular. If you've never been to a game here at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, it is a very football-savvy crowd and a very compassionate crowd, and they applaud the winners, the losers, both teams. They appreciate sportsmanship and good play.
Well, John Turntine, a great athlete in high school at Everman High in Texas. Football, basketball player, has played the last couple of seasons and contributed on this TCU team. Has a sack today.
We will get you a report as soon as one's available as to his condition.
Already TCU has lost one of their defensive linemen. Bo Schobel was injured, the right defensive end, injured a knee, but that's injury that we don't know the severity of, and not as much of a concern at this point as the injury we just saw to Turntine. And the game goes on. Nebraska leading by 14. They run Deontay Grigsby up to the 45. He's just shy of the first down. You know, Tim, you mentioned this crowd and how football savvy and knowledgeable and polite they are. I remember talking to the folks from Southern Mississippi. 2 years ago, Southern Miss came in here and played a whale of a game. They lost to Nebraska by 8. At the end of the game, the Southern Miss folks got a hand for the job they did, the respect for teams that come in here and play that kind of football against Big Red in Lincoln.
Well, they live and die for football here. I mean, these season tickets are passed down from generation to generation, and families come, and they really, truly do appreciate good football on both sides.
Last time a ticket to a Nebraska game went unsold was November of 1962. Many of us were not alive the last time you could say that a ticket went unsold for a Nebraska home game. Mr. Brandt was around, but
no. See,
Mr. Harris and I on the crew were not.
Don't start on me. There you go. Hey, Curtis, I understand what you're talking about Mike now.
Keith left specific notes. Make sure these guys take it easy on you. Of course, Keith and Timmy and Todd will take you through to the Rose Bowl this year. Look forward to watching all the games in the Pac-10 with you guys. Crouch on the option. He is pulled down. Another Marvin Godbolt tackle for loss. Godbolt and McDonald have been in the backfield all day. That's 5 tackles for loss for the freshman from San Antonio's Taft High School. Well, back-to-back, the Trojans and the Irish come into Lincoln. Troy State's nickname is the Trojans. And then the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in prime time on September 8th.
You know, we talked about this earlier, and I know Frank Solich is going to take this game, and he's going to build upon it, but they do need to improve. And certainly having this and this and this all right here is huge. 8 games at home here at Memorial Stadium for Nebraska.
1905, the last time that happened. Crouch to throw. Day was in the air, and Wilson Thomas comes down with it at the 36. Well, the Nebraska fans wanted to see a few things. What's the eye-back situation? We haven't seen Darren Diedrich just yet, and we'll see him in the next few weeks. They did want to see Crouch's arm, and it's looked good, and they wanted to see the defense, and it looked very good today.
And they knew coming in about that eye-back situation that Diedrich was out. So if you talk to the people around town, they think, well, this is a good opportunity with TCU to work in the younger guys before Darren Diedrich comes back, because Diedrich won the job outright, and he is the best tailback they have.
Steve Prewald up the middle, and the backup fullback, freshman, gains a few yards. What do you think about that game tomorrow, that kickoff classic with Georgia Tech, in Syracuse?
Well, I think it's going to be a pretty good game, and again, it's an opening day game, so a lot of questions will be answered. Of course, you've got a situation. I'm sure it'll be a somewhat sloppy game like this one was, as always it is on opening day. I'm really curious to find out what George O'Leary has at Georgia Tech. A lot of people are saying this is the year that Florida State may not get through the ACC unbeaten, and the big key is he lost Ralph Friedgen, who went to Maryland. He was the guy that pulled the strings offensively.
Crouch throwing again. Did Wistrom catch it? Oh, he tried to make a one-hand catch, but couldn't hang on. Let's get right downstairs to Todd Harris.
All right, Michael, here's a story the trainer just told me. He remained conscious the whole time he was out there, but he was very dinged up. It was a neck injury, so for precaution reasons, they immobilized him, took him off. They're going to take him in and have x-rays because whenever it's in that area, they don't want to mess around with it, but he does have mobility in his hands and his feet, and that's the good sign.
That's the most important news. Thank you, Todd. So, very glad to hear that. And the TCU faithful back in the Metroplex of Dallas-Fort Worth. Sure glad to hear that as well. 2 minutes, 1 second left. Final quarter here.
How do you think your alma mater will do tomorrow?
I think Syracuse has to solve the quarterback issue. I hear great things about Cecil Howard, the freshman, but Troy Nunes, the experienced guy, is going to get a shot as well. Tight end pass. Galladay couldn't hang on. And the penalty marker is down as well. Much like in Nebraska, Tim, you've got to have a quarterback who can run the show in these option offenses. And we see the value of that with Eric Crouch here, who I think took a late hit. TCU is going to be penalized for roughing the quarterback.
Mike, I started to ask this of you
Roughing
earlier.
the passer,
we had to get to a break.
15-yard penalty from the line of scrimmage. First down.
But I want your Heisman. No, I want your Heisman candidate.
Me? Yeah. What about you?
Well, I mean, come on. We were talking about this the other day. You had some strong ideas.
Yeah. You know, Joey Harrington was so good, as we remind folks about the Little League weekend that's ahead here on ABC Sports. Joey Harrington was so good. People have gotten lost in the hype. That's the school trying to publicize the school and the player. And maybe you don't believe in that, but Joey Harrington's the real deal, as you guys see out there in the Pac-10. Chris Sims, some people still argue that Major Applewhite should be the starter. I think Chris has what it takes, as Grigsby is tied up for a 3-yard loss. I think Chris has what it takes, not just to be a quarterback, but a very, very good quarterback.
Well, and I know you like Damian Anderson as well. So yeah, there are a lot of good candidates out there.
Absolutely. Today's Chevrolet players of the game. Let's go with LaMarcus McDonald, the linebacker from TCU. 4 tackles for loss, and Eric Crouch, Mr. Do-It-All for Nebraska, who became the total offense leader for the Cornhuskers here today. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's General Scholarship Fund. Grigsby runs up the middle. Deontay gets to the 19-yard line. Anybody else on that list, Tim? In your mind?
Absolutely. I mean, you got to think of Dorsey. Dorsey's a guy that will certainly get some votes. Ken Dorsey down at Miami, the quarterback down there. You mentioned Ken Simonton, of course, at Oregon State. Chris Sims, you mentioned. Eric Crouch here. Who else?
Well, the fact that we're hearing 8 or 10 names signifies that it's a wide open race, and it will be a fun one because it will develop as the season goes on. Forget West Coast bias from the East Coast media that people talk about all the time. On the field, you watch the games on ABC this year, you'll find out who's the Heisman winner. There are plenty of good games this year, and crossover games too. You guys will have 2 great crossover games coming up with Wisconsin and Oregon, and then Michigan, Washington back-to-back weeks.
Without a doubt, and also as the season progresses, I think a lot of it depends on how their teams are doing as well.
That should do it, as the play clock has not started yet. Nebraska's going to walk out of here with a win, not as big as some folks thought it would be, but big enough to count, and TCU will walk out of here with a lot of respect. Timmy, I enjoyed it, pal. Thanks.
Mike, that was fun. Thank you. It is a pleasure.
Yeah, you, Keith, and Todd have a great year. Patrick McManus, Mark Loomis, our director and producer. Mark Abento, Malibu, Kelly Hayes up here in the booth. Thank you, one and all, for a job well done. TCU has earned some stripes in the college football world because they came into Lincoln and hung with the Cornhuskers. Nebraska's offense will have some questions to answer, but most importantly, they get the opening win, 21-7. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com, keyword ABC Sports. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence. Now stay tuned for the Thrifty Car Rental post-game report with John and Terry.